Welcome everybody to the broadcast. So glad that you guys can join us. Another wonderful day here, Wednesday, May the 8th, 2024. So glad that you guys can join us today, and wonderful day. Another wonderful day out here. The temperature out here in this part of Arizona is 88 degrees. So it's not too hot. It's not too hot. And already, before I even get into anything I'm going to talk about, the down arrows are already coming. I know you wish that hurt my feelings, but when we get through this, hopefully your eyes will be open just a little bit. But it's amazing that a pursuit of honesty and truth would render people down arrowing it. Ain't that something? But we're going to tell the truth anyhow, and we're going to look at it as is. We're going to look at this, this whole topic that we're talking about. We're going to look at it as is, and we're going to let it stand on its own. If this is your truth, then you should have no fear at all of it falling or rising, because truth has a way of standing on its own. And so that's what we're all about here. So if it's true, then we're going to let the truth stand. If it's not true, then it needs to fall on its own, plain and simple. And so that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at this whole idea that that is pushed by many of those in the Hebrew community, that will tell you that the curses is one of the primary ways that we as Black people can identify ourselves. So that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at that today. So, but again, hope you guys are having a great one. And get the word out. Anybody, your friends, whoever it is that's into this stuff, who believes on this, get it all out. Let them all come, because we're going to look at it line by line. We're going to look at it line by line. And like I said, again, I don't see why, anybody should feel any kind of fear about that. Don't know, but it is certainly what it is. And so anyway, without further ado, we're just going to go right into it. Oh, I do want to say this too. I have this week and part of last week, it was somewhat busy. And, so I'm getting back to I'm going to get back to those podcasts. So I'm going to squeeze some out, those podcasts out. So we'll have those out for y'all this week. Okay. And we'll get those things out for you. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And that's Digital Plantation. That's one. The other one is Tech Tribes. That's the other one. Tech Tribes is where we look at true African history, and we look at the many contributions, not just in Africa, but also where many of the people of the African diaspora, where we were sent, so to speak. And, there's a lot of great history there, and it needs to be unearthed. And we just packaged it within like 3 to 5 minutes. So it's very short, to the point. And, so I think you would enjoy that. And then the other one is the Who and the L series. And so, we know that's a very, very long series. I do get that. But it's one that's very important. And so we also know that your time is important. So what we did was we made it into a much smaller, bite-sized pieces, about 1/2 an hour tops for the podcast. And the only disadvantage with the podcast is any of the slides that I'm referencing, you won't be able to see them. So if you want to see them, you'll be able to view them on the over on mybontu.com. So big shout out to everybody that's in the chat. So glad to see each and every one of you guys. And then that's it. So anyway, so today what we're going to do is we're going to let's kind of get into it like this. Okay, so our background. First of all, is my sound all right? I'm gonna move something around here. I just want to hold on. Just let me know in the chat, my sound okay, and then I'll go ahead and begin, okay? I'm just trying to make sure I got everything. Nothing's screwy around here. And, I get halfway in and it's like my sound is bad all of a sudden. So let me know in the chat. 1 or 2 people will do. And I just checked on my phone. It sounds like it's okay. And yeah, so we'll see. So yeah, let me know in the chat about my sound, and then we'll jump right into it. Okay. All right. What was I going to say while I'm waiting? Oh, make sure you remember to check out our, we did the broadcast this Sunday. My wife and I did. What we did is we also chopped it up in smaller pieces, and those smaller pieces over on sambatree.com. Thank you for letting me know about the sound. Appreciate it. And just smaller pieces. If you want to check those smaller pieces out, you're like, listen, I don't have time to watch a long video. Can you just show me the clips? We have the clips over on Samba Tree. All right. And I actually posted those clips on our community page, the link. So it'll take you right to them. So if you want to check those out as well. And it was very, very good what my wife was saying. She was talking about not just cancer, but also some other things too. That was really, really good. And you definitely want to check that out. Okay. So just wanted to drop that in. Oh yeah. So we got this promo going on sambatree.com. It's 10% off, throughout the store. The thing to keep in mind is that after this promo is over, the prices of many of the things that we have in the store will be going up. And that's just simply because, the market is what it is. It's costing a whole lot, to do business these days, as many of you are aware. So we have to, raise prices some. So take advantage of it while things are where they are right now. And, but don't worry, we ain't trying to jack it all the way up where it could be, because there's a lot of people out there. I mean, some of the things, like, for example, black seed oil. I want this is your little private assignment. I want you to compare the prices of what we sell black seed oil and compare it to some of these other, some other platforms out there. And you'll see that, in many cases, we're on the lower end of that. Same quality, but we just tend to try to keep things, you'll see, we try to keep things on as low as possible, but, it is what it is, So anyway, just want to keep you on board with that as well. Again, the website is sambatree.com. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. Okay. Let's talk about this. We've been talking about this, Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now, when we came into the Hebrew world, space, whatever you want to call it, that was one of the things that was repeated over and over and over again. This is the proof positive. If you want to know who the people are of the book, look no further than Deuteronomy 28. Now, I am very aware right now, you're going to have some people who are going to hear me, going to hear this broadcast, and all of a sudden they're going to start pivoting and start saying, well, Deuteronomy, it's not really, no. You can pivot now. I'm not saying you can't change your mind, but don't try to downplay this claim, because this is the claim that was repeated many, many, many times. And guess who was out here repeating it as well? Yours truly. So I'm not excluding myself. Okay. All right. So I'm letting you know, like I always tell people, as you learn better, you do better. So once we start realizing, wait a minute, something about this ain't right. We said, you know what? That was wrong. About face. Let's change course. And that's exactly what we did. And there's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, but that's on that. So this was something that was pounded over and over and over and over and over again. That if you want to know who you are as a black person, go to Deuteronomy 28. Don't look at the blessing part. Look at the curses. Now, I want you to stop for a second. I want you to think about this. Now, the Bible in of itself is, contrary to what, we got numbers of our people who still believe that the Bible somehow skipped and bypassed all of these evil people and somehow ended up at grandma's house and, or it ended up under your pillow and you was able, and that's how you got your hands on the Bible. No, the Bible was in fact something that was crafted. It was built. It was constructed. It was written by people who hate you. And I'm not just talking about the white slave masters or the Jewish slave masters. I'm also talking about going back even further, when you talk about St. Augustine or, some of these other some of these other people who contributed to, not say Augustine, Jerome. That's what I meant to say. Jerome, if you have ever taken the time to read his history, his story, and some of these other people, you will find that they had a very, very serious issue when it came to women. And in some cases, they had issues with people who did not look like them. They were tasked with taking this book. They were tasked in taking this book and translating it, or these scrolls, I should say. I'll take that back, because these were nothing but bits and pieces of scrolls. That's what it was prior to it, Rome taking full, complete control over this whole thing we call the Bible. These are scrolls and bits and pieces and stuff that they kind of knitted together and say, okay, we're going to call it the Bible. All right. That's what happened. But when you start going through some of these people who were responsible for gathering these bits and pieces and things out there and tying it together, you will find when you look at their histories were very, very off, very off. And when you look at the original, people oftentimes say, well, Dwayne, you got to understand the Bible in of itself, the Bible we have today. See, you got to get your hands on those original scrolls, the original scrolls. Well, the original scrolls, if you take a look at these scrolls that are out here, they weren't like written like Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, John. When you go all the way far back, when you look at how they acquired, how they were able to put these books together, you will see this is your text. This is where you came. This is where you got it from. And these are like bits and pieces of different things. We've talked all about this. Okay. So this thing wasn't, when you're going back thousands of years back, it wasn't like this single scroll that was sitting up there that was written, from Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. No. I mean, even the Ethiopian Bible, and this is another thing that we talk about often because people like to bring that up. And they say, well, brother, the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest Bible. It's the oldest complete Bible. Well, you have to look at that a little bit closer, because the Ethiopian Bible actually, what preceded that was a book, or the Bible, that was written in Egypt by I don't say 1,000 years, but it was up there. So the Ethiopian Bible wasn't something that was written and just kind of like you had a bunch of Ethiopian holy men sitting somewhere in a cave, and then all of a sudden the spirit came on them and they decided to start writing. No. They got that inspiration from Egypt. And we've gone into that as well. I think I have a whole video talking about that. So the Ethiopian Bible, it may have extra books in it, but the core of the Bible itself, the Ethiopian Bible, did in fact was heavily, it was inspired by what was already available in Egypt. Okay. So we talked about that as well. So if you're out there and you kind of like to lean towards, well, the Ethiopian Bible was the original and all of that, it wasn't. It was not the original. So anyway, when it comes to, we came into this Hebrew thing, and people, are coming to, telling us about this. See, if you look at the Deuteronomy chapter 28, you're going to see, and then they start going through it. And then you're like, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. This does sound like us. These different curses and all that, this exactly sounds like us. Oh my goodness. I never noticed that. And we were one of the many people out there that was reading it like that, right? But then as you continue to go on, right? So what a lot of our people do is that they will take that, put it in their backpack, and then keep it moving, never to really revisit it again unless you're just simply repeating it. You understand what I'm saying? Like a pack rat. So you don't go back through your bag and say, you know what? Let me look at this again and make sure this thing that I put in my backpack is legit. And a lot of our people don't. We like to repeat things, but when it comes to let's verify and make sure this is true, that's another story. And that's what we're going to do today. So when you look at this passage here, the analogy that I put in the post that I did, it was yesterday. I said it's almost it's like this. The best way to explain it. Oh, let me see this, because I know we're gonna have some fun today. Someone said this brother is scared of admitting the truth of God's true children. Something tells me you were never really a Hebrew. Whoa. Yeah, I'm scared. I'm so scared. I'm hiding behind an AI image that looked like an angel, or Egyptian angel with white hair. Oh. Anyway, yeah, so you keep on moving, all right? So we're going to bang your behind, because we ain't going to have too many distractions today, okay? We ain't going to do that. I may allow a few of y'all, but I ain't going to allow you, okay? So you figure out what you trying to be. I'm still trying to figure that out. What is that? It's like an angel, a black angel with platinum blonde hair and a skirt on. Okay, you figure that out, brother, okay? You figure that one out, okay? But in the meantime, so let's continue. So I was, so anyway, so here's the thing. You are being told, when you consider the fact that this book called the Bible was given to you by your oppressors. Now, many of you have heard me say this over and over again, but it forever bears repeating. The people that whipped your behind, okay, they whipped your behind. They raped you. They took you away from your culture. They took you away from your land. They took you away just from your people, your language, and all that. They separated you. Now, keep in mind, you didn't come here as a blank slate, because there were a lot of things you still were able to retain. So you didn't come over here as a blank slate. Let's be very clear with that. And so you came over here. They changed your name, right? They changed your name, and they told you, here's the religion that we want you to practice. Now, a lot of times people will bring up the slave Bible. They'll say, they were scared of us to even read the Bible, so they just gave us a slave Bible. Doggone it. Hold up for a doggone second, y'all. I would speak to those especially who bring that one up. These people were afraid to give you the Bible, so they gave you an edited version. They called it the slave Bible. Let me ask you something. Can I ask you this? Okay. If the Bible itself held the keys to identify who you are and what powers you have, why the hell would they give you it at all? Why would I give you that? In other words, that's like me giving you a car that's designed to go 200 miles an hour. And so instead, I'm not going to give you know what I'm going to do? This is a secret. This is a secret, okay? I'm going to give you a car, but I'm going to, instead of it going 200 miles an hour, I'm going to let it only go up to 150 miles an hour. That'll fool them. Why would I even do that? That doesn't make any sense when you think about it. Why would they even give it to you in the first place if the general text of it had all the truth of who you are in it? Why would they do that? If I had any text at all that held keys on how these people can destroy me, I'm not going to tease you with a few chapters of it. I'm going to take that book, I'm going to put it in a spaceship, and I'm going to launch it and pray that it goes as out of this galaxy. I'm not going to tease you with a few chapters. I'm not going to tease you with a few books. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm getting that thing up out of here. Okay. So this is what I'm saying. The logic, even with that, how crazy that is. All right. So let's continue. So here you got these people who have demonstrated how much they actually hate you. And they're going to tell you. And so anyway, so they're going to give you that. And what do? We take this book, we make it our own. We call it our history book, but it's our history book. How do you prove that it's your history book? You go to the worst part of the book. So here's a book that has been handed to you by demons, because that's who they were, whipping your behind. These were demons that were whipping your behind, raping you, destroying your children, destroying your family and all of that. They're going to hand you this book. And then you, in turn, are going to take this book and go to the worst part of the book that has the worst curses in it. And you're going to say, you want to know who you are? Go to that part. What sense does that even make? So when you sit back for a second and think about this for a second, that has all the signs of some type of, what's the word I'm looking for? Witchcraft. That's the word I'm looking for. You're going to train people to go to their book, but don't just go to their book. You're going to go to the part of it, not all the parts that has the blessings in it. Oh, no. Don't go to the part that has the blessings in it. No, nigga, you go to the part that has all the curses. That's where you're going to find yourself. Don't back away now. Because like I said in the post, you got folks, this is all in documentaries, Hebrew documentaries. This is all in teachings. These are all in sermons. It's all over. So don't back up now and try to act like, well, I know we said that, but see, that's something. No, then y'all need to get together and figure that out. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to look through this passage here. All right. And we're going to go through line by line, and we're going to ask ourselves some serious questions on this. I don't need to pull out some old books and find out what the rabbis were really saying when they said this. I don't need to do any of that. We're going to look at it as is. All right. And so anyway, let me see what would be the best place to start here. And then we're going to go ahead and begin. It's amazing. And like I said, people get mad, whatever. Bye. Goodbye. Keep it moving. I'm just going through here and seeing, do I want to start there? Oh no. Okay. You know what? We'll just go right to the script, the passage itself. Cause I wanted to double check what I wrote in the post and then whatever. So, okay. So this is, we're going to read Deuteronomy 28. That's it. Now for some people are going to say, well, you got to go to Deuteronomy 27 and 26 and 25. No, 28. We're going to go to 28. I've even seen people who got shirts on with Deuteronomy 28. So that's what we're going to stay on. All right. So we're going to start from the beginning because the first part, if you're not familiar with this passage, the first half of this passage, it's basically God, Yahweh, is telling his people that, hey, listen, if you do all the things I'm telling you to do, these are all the blessings that is going to come upon you if you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. All right. So let's go through it, okay? And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kine, and flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Okay, all this sounds good. All right, so no argument here, right? The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. Thou shalt come out against thee one way. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. All right, verse 8. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses and in all that thou settest thine hand unto. And he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, and he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways. All right. And all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of Yahweh, because that's what it says, that you're going to be called by the name of Yahweh, and they shall be afraid of thee. And Yahweh shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers to give thee. All right, let's go. Verse 12. The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure and heaven to give rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hands, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. All right. Verse 13. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commands of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. Verse 14. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, or rather to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Okay, here we go with the curses. All right. Now, before we jump in with the curses here, let's ask ourselves some basic questions here, because this is something I run into a whole lot. I ran into a whole lot, and I continue to run into from time to time. And it's this whole notion that it's this whole thing. This is what I'm trying to get to. You do have people out here. Number one, there's about 613 commandments. You're talking about law, statutes, and commandments. There's about 613 of them. Now, one of y'all is doing about a quarter of that. So let's keep that a full buck. Now, one of y'all are doing that. So the question that I have for you is this: how in the world could you, or can you, do all of these laws, statutes, and commandments in a place, in a land where it's impossible to do all of them? How can you do it? The second question is, why would your God put you in an impossible situation and demand perfection? Let me say that again. Why would your God put you in an impossible situation yet demand perfection? How can you be perfect in doing this if you're following the law, statutes, and commandments? Leave Jesus out of it. Leave the New Testament out of it, because there's many folks who now all of a sudden they don't want to believe the New Testament at all. Jesus, I don't believe in Jesus. I believe in Yahweh Shai. I believe in Yeshua. And they got to come up with another name as if that kind of covers up that. No, leave all of that out of here. We're going to stick to the Old Testament, the Torah. That's it. Because the Torah is strict now. A lot of people want to claim the Torah, but the Torah got a lot of things in there that folk ain't going to try to do. Some of this stuff would get your behind thrown in jail if you try to do that in any society today. All right, so let's go on here. All right, so here we go with the curses. Hang on to your seatbelts. Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. We're going to keep on going here. We're going to keep on going till about 19 or 20. Cursed shalt thou thy basket and thy store, shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thine kind and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shall be thou when, cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. And then let me just round it off on 20, and then we'll stop, and we're going to start from 16 to 20. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand to unto for to in all that thou settest thy hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and unto thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. All right, so we'll just round it off there, and let's go back to 16, and let's look at this line to line to line. All right, verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. My question to anybody out here, and you can put it in the chat: how does verse 16 automatically remind you of black people? When you read verse 16 and it says, you are going to be cursed in the city and in the field. Are you, in the chat, do you see yourself as a cursed individual when you go into the city? And do you see yourself as someone who's cursed, meaning that nobody wants to be around you at all? Nobody wants to do any work with you at all. Nobody you're like a leper. You're like a modern day leper. You're just cursed. You can't get anything done when you go into the city at all. You can't hold a job. You can't find anything to eat. Your car always breaking down. You just can't get anything to work when you go into the city and when you're in the field. Does this apply exclusively to black people? I want answers today. Don't be talking around this stuff. Give me the answers today. Verse 17, cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Now, let's just kind of figure this one out in this old freaking English stuff. Cursed shall be your basket and your store. Basically, I guess that's your way of income. Is your bank account cursed? Now, people can probably say, it looked like somebody done hit that thing. You could probably say that, but for real. And your store, your way of making money. Or is it impossible for you to be, is this exclusively an issue only and specifically with black people in this economy? I'm telling you, give me the answers on that one. Let's continue. Verse 18, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of your land, the increase of thine kind and the flocks of your sheep. Let's read it again. Cursed shall be the fruit of your body. What's the fruit of your body? Your children. Let me ask you something right now. Because like I said, we're gonna get very and brutally real today. Are your children cursed? I'm going to stop it right here. We ain't going to go any further because I want some answers. The children that you bore, are they cursed? Yes or no? Give me an answer. Are your children cursed? Are you claiming that your children are cursed? The children that your wife, of your husband, your wife bore to you. Are they cursed? Now, they may be acting up or whatever, but are they cursed? Are your children cursed? Because if your children are cursed, you need to say it and you need to tell them that so that they can understand what the heck is going on. So based off of this scripture, what it says is, if you ain't doing all the law, statutes, and commandments, that means that the fruit that's going to come out of you, which is your children, that means that they're cursed. So if your children are cursed, you need to go ahead, make that very clear, make it a declaration, and you need to keep far away from me on that one. And are you a church, and everybody's a child, are you cursed? Answer the question. We're going to be talking around this stuff. We ain't talking around none of this. That's why I'm telling you, people try to come up in the comments and they be talking all around. I'm asking specific questions and nobody wants to answer any specific questions. You want to know why a lot of men ain't showing up in a lot of these religious circles? Because they tired, because folk be talking around stuff. Nobody wants to answer anything directly. I put a post up, I'm talking about something specific, and you give me a scripture. How does that even answer and address anything that's in this post? Well, Ezekiel 45 says, I ain't nobody asking about no Ezekiel 45. If there is a 45, I don't know. Let's continue. They said in the fruit of your land. If you have land, there are a lot of black folks out here who do own land. There's one person, there's a couple in particular that I see them. I think I follow them on TikTok. I probably follow them on TikTok and YouTube, not sure. But they bought a bunch of land out in like Montana. Beautiful land. But there's like many other people out here too that have been buying, black folks been buying land and growing stuff and all this other stuff. They doing pretty good. So is their land cursed? You want to write them and tell them, well, all that stuff you doing, that looks cute and all, but ultimately your land is cursed. Is their land cursed? There's a lot of black families I know just in North Carolina that own their own land and been growing stuff and selling it and they've been doing that for like generations now. Been doing that. They cursed? Answer the question. Let's continue. All right. And the flocks of your sheep. I don't know too many of us own sheep, but it is what it is. We'll just kind of give that a pass or not a pass, but that's all inclusive to the context here. Okay, let's go to verse 19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall be when you goest out. Are you a cursed person? In other words, when you leave your house, you're cursed. When you come back in your house, are you cursed? When you go into your job, are you a cursed person? In other words, nothing ever goes right. You can't put things together at all. You can't earn nothing. Nothing ever works. Every day, it's just a big nothing. You go home and you come out of your home and nothing. You come back home a big nothing. It's just nothing happening right for you. Nothing at all. Does this apply to you? Are you cursed? Is this something that has manifested day in and day out and day in and day out in your life? Answer the question. All right, verse 20, and he said, the Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto for it to do, until thou be destroyed and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. So cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thy hand unto for to do. Does that apply to you? Is that something that you're witnessing and manifesting right now? Everywhere you go, you're getting cussed at, vexation, and you're getting rebuked all over again. Is that something that is happening to you over and over again? You can't get along with anybody. It says until you be destroyed, you're destroyed. You've been destroyed. You've been decimated. And until thou perish quickly. We got a lot of people in this chat right now that are of a good, ripe age, and they ain't showing any sign of perishing quickly. Let's go through it. Let's talk about it. because of the wickedness of thine doings. What is the wickedness that people are doing specifically? There's a lot of people that I know, and there are people in the church. Like I said, again, on this platform, listen, we're just going to tell you the truth, whether if you're in Christianity, whether you're in Hebrew, whatever it is. If that's what you want to be in, then be in it. But make sure you have the truth as well. Make sure you have the truth so that you can make right decisions. That's it. That's all it is. Okay, so if you want to stay in that, that's you. We're not going to clown you. We're going to talk about it. We're going to lay out the truth, and then hopefully that'll help you see things a little bit clearer. You understand what I'm saying? All right, let's go on here. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he had consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee. Well, let's look up the word pestilence, okay, so that we can be clear. All right, so let's look up the word pestilence. I know some of y'all are like, I know what it means. I know. Well, we're just going to be, just for the sake of being clear here, and I've just realized I didn't have it on the screen, so we'll put it up on the screen here in a moment, okay? So just give me a moment here. Okay. All right. So let's go, and then I'll bring this back on the screen here. Here we go. All right. The Lord, I'm at verse 21. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee. What's pestilence? Let's look it up. Pestilence is a fatal epidemic disease, especially bubonic plague. That's what it is. There's a band called Pestilence. Okay. Anyway, I got distracted there. A fatal epidemic disease. What specific, your challenge right now is to look up any fatal disease that's exclusive only to black people. Nobody else, but only to black people. I want you to look that up. That's taking black people out exclusively. It's like a race-based one. Now, you will find diseases that's more prevalent in certain communities or in certain people groups. But I want you to name the diseases that you won't find anywhere else. In other words, you will only find it in black people. I want you to name it. Name it. We're not going to talk around stuff here today. Name it. Until he has consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. Well, the way we were run off the land, so to speak, and when you say the land, when you're talking about black folks, it was slavery, and it had nothing to do with pestilence. It was greed, where we were snatched off the land and sold to these oppressors. Had nothing to do with a pestilence, had everything, because people who are buying slaves ain't buying slaves that are sick. So how in the world does this even apply in this case here? You got white people that'll get sickle cell too. And it's not a whole lot. That's why I said exclusively, only. You won't find any case of it at all in white people. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's see here. And it's taking people out in the way that this passage is talking about. All right. To the parish. Okay, let's go to verse 23. And thy heaven that's over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under the feet. This in Old English. I'm sorry. I know someone said that's why they read the NIV, but I'm just reading the King James because I got folks out here that they think God speaks in King James. So I'm just gonna use this one. All right. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. So again, given the context of, when you're talking about the Bible and all that, when it says the heaven over you shall be brass and the earth shall be iron, well, that could be two things. That could be dealing with prayer, but I really think it's more or less that the rain is going to be held back, and that your ground or the earth, you ain't going to be able to grow anything. Well, I mean, there's people growing stuff all the time. There's black people growing stuff all the time and doing very well. If that's the case, yeah, because it goes on to verse 24. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust, and from heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. So the land. So what they're saying is that you ain't gonna be able to grow nothing at all in this land. Nothing's gonna be able to happen. So far up to this point, let's just pull off at the rest stop here for a second. We're reading a lot of curses here, but so far I don't really see anything here at all that is specific to black people. I don't see anything here at all. Now, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I do need to get the other translation, but I don't see anything here at all that's screaming that this only applies to black people. All right, let's see here. Verse 25, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Now, what typically happens is people, the Hebrew mind, will look at this verse and kind of, look at, this is what the key passages would be, sections would be. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. See, that's slavery. That's what happened. See, they destroyed us. And then they skip this part here in the middle, and then they'll go to, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. See, that's what they're talking about. See, they're talking about how we was spread all throughout the earth. That's the transatlantic slave trade. That's the Arab slave trade. See, this is key right here. This is what they're talking about. See, they're talking about us. But again, what you have to understand again is, and this is something we have been able to prove over and over and over and over again, not just here, but many other great platforms out there as well, been doing this way before us, is that the Bible itself was written with Mesopotamia area in mind. That's when that's their mindset, the Mediterranean, Mesopotamia. That's the world. When they say world, when they say throughout the earth, that is all they knew. They didn't say anything about the Aztecs. They didn't know nothing about that. They didn't know anything about the Americas. Well, it wasn't called Americas then, but you know what I'm saying. Everything that took place in the Bible, when it says go into all the world, or the earth, all of earth and all of that, the context is just this small area. It's not anything beyond that. All right. That's just something to keep in mind. So anytime you read that, that's what they're talking about. All right, so let me see. Let's see. Okay, so let's go to verse 26. That's where we are now. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Let's read it again. Let's read that again. And your carcass shall be meat unto all the fowls of the air. Okay, let's stop there for a second. So how many black bodies have you seen, starting with your own family, where you got birds out, like your uncle or your auntie or your mom or your dad or whatever, them passed away, And so we just so busted and disgusted as a people. We can't afford to bury them. So now you got fowls and you got vultures and stuff tearing them apart. When's the last time you seen that? When's the last time you seen that? And don't tell me, Dwayne, this is all metaphor. No. We ain't doing no metaphoric stuff. You said this is exactly what it is. Because once you get into the land of metaphorics, then all of a sudden it's anything. You can interpret anything. Anything can fit into your narrative. That's like what I was saying in that post that I did yesterday. You can look at anything in the Bible and make it apply to you. It's like if we're sitting in a theater, right? If I'm sitting in the theater, I'm watching a movie and a character does something that I would have done. And I'm like, see, that's what I would do. That's me right there. Hey, Nicole, that's me right there. I'm not saying that's me in the movie, like physically. I'm just simply saying that's something I would do. But it doesn't mean that I'm an active part of the cast. But what a lot of our people do is that we will read ourselves into the text until we just keep doing it over and over again until we say, see, this is our history book. But what I read so far that tells you, that screams that this is Black history? Answer the question for me, please. What in here specifically says this is Black history? Someone would have to be filled with such a deep hatred for themselves in order to hold this passage up and look at it like one would look in the mirror and say, see, that looks just like me. You got to be on some self-hate stuff. There's nothing in this passage so far that screams that this is Black people, because nobody else is going through this. All right, so let's go in here where I'm at. 20. Okay, 27. They said the Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch. Therefore, thou canst not be healed. Name the diseases that are exclusive to Black people that match verse 27. Name them. You can put them in the chat if you want to. Name the diseases that are exclusive. Again, I follow instructions. Follow what I'm saying, okay? Stay focused. Don't just name any disease. I'm talking about diseases that are only found in amongst Black people that you will not find anywhere else. All right. In fact, I think this one I actually looked up. Let me just see here. People don't like when they mad. It's okay. So I looked up here. So I did a search. There are no diseases. They said the only things that come close that you will find predominantly amongst Black people, but it's not exclusive to Black people, are keloids. And, keloids, they're just simply, it's a condition where you get raised scars. If you got a wound and let's say instead of it healing, your body just keeps, it develops into it becomes big, like these big bumps. Some of y'all may experience some of that, right? It's this thing called pseudofolliculitis barbae. They said often called, okay, in other words, it's razor bumps. So razor bumps, that's another thing. So this is the curse. Razor bumps. He gonna send down razor bumps to Black people. That's the curse. And razor bumps, just like the other one I was mentioning, that's not exclusive to Black people either. You got white people that get razor bumps too. Not as often as we do, but we do get it. So razor bumps, that's the curse. Okay. Dermatitis, dermatosis, papulsa nigra. They says small benign skin lesions that typically appear on the face and are more frequent among people with darker skin. And another one is post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, dark spots left after an injury or inflammation that can be more noticeable or persistent in people with darker skin tones. Again, these are not exclusive, but it does happen a lot amongst our people. But that does not prove this to be exclusively to black people. It does not. Okay. All right. Verse 28, the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. So according to this, black people, I'm reading this and it says that black people are going to be smitten with madness. So there's nobody else in society that's mad, but black people are. Only black people are mad. Only black people. You got to be some self-hating Negro to read this and to think that this literally, it's, as I'm reading this and I'm like, how does someone even come? I'm asking myself because I was accepting this stuff. How does someone read this and automatically think the first thing come to your mind is black people? Madness is exclusive to black people? Madness. Okay. Blindness. That's a whole nother thing. And astonishment of heart. That's all exclusive of black people. Okay. All right. Anyway, verse 29, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in your ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. And you shall grope at noonday, and the night gropeth in darkness. Y'all that's downing this video, I wonder if you are bold enough to actually disagree and put it in the chat. Tell me exactly what you disagree with. I want you to point out exactly what I'm saying that's inaccurate, that's not factual at all. I want you to do that because it's easy to do that, what you're doing. But anytime I open the phone line up and I ask people to give me specifics to answer direct questions, they can't do it. But y'all get in all these old hidden chats and stuff like that and be email lists and be running your mouth and all that. But then when someone says, okay, what is it? Okay, tell me exactly where it's wrong. You know, I'm not here to debate or nothing like that. I'm not here to debate either. But if I'm incorrect, put it in the chat and explain yourself. It's simple. I'm not going to kill you. Someone said black people seem to be really mad as a whole. Believe me, I deal with a youth football league and none others act like we do. Yes, now black people, we do have our issues. But let me just tell you right now, there are a lot of white people, bro. If you just step out of the league a little bit, there's some white people that do some very crazy things. Case in point, Israel. Okay. Case in point, America. Case in point, all of Europe. There's a whole list of things. I know what you're talking about. I get it. But when you expand your view, you're going to see madness is not exclusive to a color. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not. So I get that. And anytime I do talk about what you're talking about, people get mad. You know, when you start saying, man, as a people, man, we be doing some stupid stuff, you know, and then you start going through it. And then people don't want to hear that. Why are you always negative? But it does happen. I agree with you. I'm with you. But I'm not going to like say we're the only ones that do. Oh, what we do, and it's wrong. But I would not dare act as if we're the only ones that are doing some crazy stuff, because there's a lot of folks out here that are doing some stupid, crazy stuff out here. Yeah, anyway, so let me go here. Madness, blindness, okay, and thou shalt grow up at noonday and prosper in the ways, and okay, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt only and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Oh, really? Does that sound like any of you guys' life? Because if that's the case, wow, I think, yeah, maybe you need some help. And I'm be more than happy to point to you some places where you can get some help, for real. And I'm not just saying that. Okay. Verse 30, thou shalt betroth a wife and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Now, I can tell you right now, that ain't the case in this house. Okay? That ain't happening. Now, there's some camps or whatever that do this willingly. Okay? No, but we don't do that. We don't get down like that here. Ain't nobody coming in and just snatching my wife and talking about, I'm going to take you somewhere. Nope, that ain't happening. Or I feel like I can't do. And they said, well, Dwayne, they're talking about slavery here. You know, they're talking about during the slavery times that happened. Yes, it did. But it also happened in many other places too, with other groups as well. So if I listen to y'all, you say even our best efforts as individuals, black people are still cursed. So that means these curses supposedly are still going on doing this. Anyway, let's go on here. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Well, we already know. Again, like I said, there are plenty of wonderful examples out here of wonderful black people who are doing these things, and they're doing it very well, and they've been doing it for a number of years. So again, I fail to see how this is exclusive to black people. Let's continue. Verse 31, your ox shall be slain before thine eyes. Most of y'all Negroes don't have an ox. Okay, so let's continue. And thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and thou shalt not be restored to thee. And shall not be restored to thee. Your sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and you shall have none to rescue them. Most of folk, they ain't got animals like this, okay? And the people who do have animals like this ain't happening. All right, let's continue. Verse 32, your sons and your daughters shall be given unto another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. Now let's stop here for a second and let's really think about this one. Your sons and your daughters shall be given unto another people. Okay, now what is true is that you do have, a lot of our people, the children are being taken by the foster care system. Now, there's cases where there needs to be some type of intervention. There's also cases where the government, like they always do, will overstep their bounds and boundaries and just take children away that don't need to be taken away. So one can look at, let's say, the foster care system and try to make this fit. But what's the solution for this? What's the solution for this right here? It's simple. Parents need to step up. There are cases where parents have, in fact, stepped up, black parents, and said, you know what? We're going to stop the madness here, and we're going to reclaim our children. They ain't no longer going to be bouncing in the foster care system. I'm getting my children, and and it happens all the time. There's a lot of cases where that does happen. Again, we're not going to focus on the negative, because you do have negative stories where a lot of these children are being sucked away in this system. But you also have cases where parents, once they get themselves together, are claiming their children back, and they're doing some wonderful, great things. So my point is that we're not in a helpless situation when it comes to the foster care system. I'm just using the foster care system as an example. We're not in a helpless situation like that. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, we already read that. Okay, let's go to 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed alway. Well, let's look at this one too. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall another nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. You can kind of sort of make us fit in that. Kind of sort of. All right. Kind of sort of. But is this exclusively to black folks? No. I can look at China, for example. The Chinese, when they were fighting was it Japan? Japanese Empire? The brutality of that and how they just came in. That's just one example. We can look at some of the Pacific Islands. Those are other examples where you had, let's say, where other lands came in, other peoples came in and took up their stuff, right? But is it an impossible situation for black people where we're just stuck? Like, it don't matter. And let's say RJ McKenzie, if he was like, hey, listen, I'm just going to grow some carrots in my backyard. Let's just say, for example, and he got to grow them in secret because if the government finds out, they're going to snatch up his carrots. Do we have any example of that? No. Man, the Hawaiians, exactly, RJ. Anyway, listen for the line. Okay, verse 34. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. Okay, verse 35. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. Now, there are some of our people out here. Maybe you got a football industry. Wow. Injury. Some of y'all just got them old knees. Okay. Outside of y'all, is there a condition that's exclusive and only found amongst black people where we're having knee problems? There's sores that are growing all up on us that cannot be healed. Is there any situation that you can point out? And can you point me to some examples to any of that where it's exclusive to black people? Okay, 36. I told y'all we're going to take our time going through this. So, just letting you know, because we're going to give this a fair airing out. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt, the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. Now, this is one that's used a whole lot, because what they'll say is you'll serve other gods, wood and stone. The wood is referring to the cross or the pole or the whatever it is, right? That's Christianity. Stone is Islam, because they, you go to Mecca, they're going around the whole stone thing. So what Hebrews will say is this is what this is applying to. Okay, that's possible. That's plausible. Okay. But it doesn't, you can't just skim. You can't look at a verse, one little part of it, and say this applies to all black people. That's crazy to do that. You got to read the whole verse. What does the whole verse say? The Lord shall bring thee and thy king. What king? What king? What king? What king did they bring? What king? You know what king he talking about here? Which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation that neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. This is like a discombobulated thing, where when I mean discombobulated, I mean it can apply to so many things. You know what I'm saying? It's not exclusive to black people. Only someone who has that filter will see black people in that. We're not reading this through a filter. All right, 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Yes. Do we can we make the argument that there are many, many nations that don't like black people? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. We don't have to lie on that one. That's true. But is this exclusive to black people? No. I don't know if for some of y'all who are on Twitter, I don't know if you've been on Twitter. There's another group right now that people are starting to wake up and they're starting to rise up. And they will also, I would say, they fall into this category. And that's the J people. Because there are a lot of they have a whole history of being tossed out, one nation after another, after another, after another. But it's not for the reasons because they ain't doing the law, statutes, and commandments. It's for a lot of other reasons that we've talked about here. All right. But we're not going to get into that today. But yeah, we can apply it. This could be applied to black folks. But again, like everything else, it's not exclusive to black people. It's not. All right. Verse 38, thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and thou shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. So again, we're just reading this. It's saying that you shall carry much seed out into the field. How would that apply today? Okay, so let's think. So you're going to do a whole lot of work, but you're going to be working a lot harder, but you're going to have very little to show for it. If we were to put this in modern terms, again, I'm playing with the metaphoric kind of stuff, just trying to help it out. I'm just trying to help it out. But, if you read it as is, of course, ain't no locust problem. That's exclusive to black people. Okay. But anyway, is this strictly applicable to black people? No, you got people all over the rainbow, so to speak, that are also falling into this category of working extra hard, but they got very little to show for it. Don't believe me? Ask anybody that works for Amazon. I'll just leave it there. Let's continue. All right. Verse 39, thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. How many of y'all have got issues with worms in your vineyards? Come on now, tell me. You got serious issues with worms that you just can't get rid of? Verse 40, thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coasts, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with oil, for thine oil shall cast his fruit. Again, how many of y'all growing olive trees? And if you wanted to anoint yourself with oil, for those that do that, all I got to do is go to the grocery store and get me a bottle of oil, olive oil. I can get any kind of oil and I'm good. So how is this exclusive to black people? Let's continue. 41, thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. So all your children are going into captivity. I just saw my daughter today. It's her birthday. I got her some flowers and a card and all of that. She doing good. My son, he doing well. He's doing his thing. Putting together a career for his life and charting things out. I think I just heard him on a motorcycle just now leaving. Come on now. Come on. Don't get quiet on me now with this. Well, that's just talking about slavery only. That's only applies to slavery. No, no, this is now. We're still, first of all, you didn't get the 400-year thing right. So now all of a sudden the 400 years, that's all metaphorically, 400, they did say that they were going to mess with the numbers. So 400 can be right around the time when the eclipse come and, but the eclipse came and went and eclipse, you got to really look at the word eclipse. And when you do a breakdown, I'm going to do a 5-hour video on the word eclipse, as a way to distract you away from what we said was going to happen. But anyway, I'm still seeing, by the way, I don't know about y'all, what is this thing with some cruise ships? I keep seeing some of these Hebrews out here pushing these cruise ships, talking about cruise ships are going to magically show up. This is the latest thing I'm seeing right now. They talking about some cruise ship supposed to come and pick up black folks and take us somewhere. I ain't getting on no boat. The last time we got on a boat, it didn't work too well for us. Some of y'all gonna get on these magical boats, and the first thing they're gonna tell you is, all right, we got some nice seating below. Just going downstairs now, we got some nice seats. Now, the way we got it set up is you gotta just, lay down. You gotta lay down, just kind of parallel, just lay down, just lay down one after another. And, it's okay. It's okay. It's nice seating. It's very cozy seating. You know how real estate agents, anytime they advertise on a house that's small, they always use the word cozy. So that's the terminology. They'll say, it's a very cozy seating for you black folks. So you're just going to lay down straight next to each other. All right. And we're going to chain your butt up here. Wait a minute. Now, well, the chain is to make sure that you don't fall, because the waves, they go up and down and all that. And it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. All right, let's go on here. All the trees and okay, that's it. The stranger within shall get a. Okay, let's go to 43. They said the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Now, the way they word this, the way the Hebrews, the way they pitch this is they say the stranger within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. The way they pitch it where they're talking about illegal immigrants. So this whole immigrant thing, right? And how black folks, we have been struggling and, not really, moving further along economically and all that. But these immigrants come in and they own all the stores and all that. And you see, they're rising above us and all of that. See, that fits. That fits a lot of places. Now, because like in Europe, case in point, see, you want to talk about this. We're going to be honest, y'all. We got to be honest. All throughout Europe and places like Ireland and Scotland and other places as well, you got folks that look like us coming from Africa, going to these places throughout Europe. They are the ones that are rising above the people in Europe. This is true. Now, we like to say, oh, that's a blessing. See, he's turning it around, y'all. That's what he's at. That's what's happening right now. He's flipping it and he's turning it around. Wait a minute, but I thought you said it's a curse, though. I thought, because according to this, it's saying that these people are the stranger is going to come in and he's going to raise up very high. Okay, that may apply here in the United States. You may try to make it fit for the United States, but you also got folks coming from Africa that are going in throughout places all throughout Europe, and they're rising very high. They're getting a whole lot of benefits, while the people, these Europeans that are there, they're getting the shaft, basically. Yeah, RJ, right. Anyway, verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. All right. Do I go to, what did I write? Because I want to make sure, because this is the passage that I think I wrote about here. Let me go to YouTube here. Hold on. Yeah, I think this is the passage that I wrote about here. Come on, man. What you doing? All right, here we go. Oh, here it is. Here it is. This is, yeah. Here we go. Here we go. I sure did. Okay, here we go. Let me just go through this real quick. Stop playing with God's prophecy. Stop being ignorant. That's one of my answers to you. Because if you, Miss Tara, if you can go through this passage and tell me specifically, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to tell me specifically how this applies exclusively to black people. I'm going to leave your name up here too. All right. We're going to give you an opportunity. We're going to give you a full opportunity, Miss Tara, to tell me exactly. Do not talk around it. Do not talk around what I'm asking. Tell me exclusively and specifically how this passage applies only to black folks. And I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. Do not fill up my chat with other nonsense. Answer my question. I'm waiting for you. This ain't no debate. You open your mouth and this is what you're saying. You're saying I'm playing with God's prophecy. Okay, we're asking questions and we're looking through this. Answer my question one more time. And the clock is ticking. How does this specifically only talk about black people and black people only? Answer the question. I'm waiting for you. Hurry up and type it. Come on, I ain't got all day. You're holding people up. My mother, my brother, stepdad picked cotton. So how our people don't fit the prophecy? What in here is talking about picking cotton? You saying that? There is nothing in this passage that talks about picking cotton. What in this passage is talking about that you gonna go and pick cotton? For God says you're gonna go pick cotton. Name me the verse. Come on now. I'm not mad at you, sis, by the way. I'm not mad at you. But I want you to be specific, because this is the kind of stuff I deal with all the time with people. They don't want to be specific. You talk around stuff. What in this passage says anything about black folks are going to be condemned to picking cotton? What does it say? Where does it say that? It doesn't. It doesn't. All right. So go ahead and if someone can go ahead, we're not going to ban her, but you can put her on a silence her for a little bit. So my moderators, go ahead and sign, because I gave her the opportunity. Author says, oh, wait a minute, do I still have? Okay. He says, actually, my question is, why are we talking about Israelites only? Because Israelites only are the ones that are saying this. They're the ones that put this out here. They set the standard when it comes to, if you look at this passage this is the marker that tells you that this is your book. No, Tara, you're talking all over the place, honey. You're talking. Someone please go ahead and sit her down, please go sit her down. You're talking all over. I want y'all. I gave her the opportunity because I want people to see that. I want you to see exactly how this goes down. All right, so let me go ahead and read. Let me put this on the screen here. Okay, so I said, okay, here we go. I said, okay, so we're going to look at this scripture. We're looking at verse 43, and this is what I wrote about this yesterday, okay? Foreigners who live in your land will gain more and more power while you gradually lose yours. And I said, those of us whose ancestors came through the transatlantic slave trade came to this land as slaves. Slaves don't own anything. That includes land. Anytime I heard a Hebrew quote this passage, they applied it exclusively to how immigrants have come to America. Note how the Black Hebrew narrative seems to always be centered around Americans and became successful while we remained in economic bondage. Now, one could apply the similarities of this verse to groups throughout the African continent, as foreigners have in fact come in and have gradually risen to power over the actual original landowners. But we can also see that in other places outside of Africa, like all the Americas, Pacific Islands, nations, Asian nations, etc., it's a very broad brush prediction that on its own could apply to multiple non-black groups as well. And then I said, but we should look at more of the highlighted passage to get more context, right? And then I continued. I said, they will have money to lend you, but you will not have none to lend them. In the end, you will be the rule. They will be your rulers. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Someone said, okay, here we go. They will be your rulers. All right. This passage is by far one of the most telling that proves that the book was written with the people of the Mesopotamian and much later Europeans in mind. All right. I want you to listen to what I'm about to read here. When it came to trade within ancient African cultures, money was seen much different than those who wrote the Bible. Most cultures centered their economy, on barter and trade. And you'll find this in the middle, what they call the Middle East and as well. But in Africa, we're talking Africa here. When a monetary system was used, it usually consisted of things like cowrie shells, gold, iron, salt, copper, textiles, beads, etc. So in other words, things that could easily be acquired if faced with some type of debt. And then I said, so my question is, why would we have needed foreigner money when we had our own economic system that was already working for thousands of years? So it doesn't fit, is what I'm saying here when you actually look at this. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't fit us. You can read yourself into anything, but that does not fit. That's not us, because we were not looking. Ancient African cultures weren't like going shopping around England and saying, hey, listen, we gotta, you guys want to invest in us? We didn't need that. Now, here's the thing that I wanted to say that I meant to say in the beginning, but I want to say this here. And I want you to hear this part very carefully as we continue, and we're going to continue through this passage here. All right, we're going to do the whole thing. When someone says you are cursed, when we look at black people and we say we're cursed, what you have to understand, the people who put together this matrix, this narrative that we live in right now, they have given all of us an assignment. Black people have an assignment. People, coming from the southern border, they have an assignment. White people got an assignment. Jewish people got an assignment. Asian people got an assignment. Everybody's got a role on this stage that we call the matrix. Okay. And what they assign black people to do is to be what you see manifesting, unfortunately, today. And what they have assigned us to be are people who operate as if we are cursed. You understand what I'm saying? So your role is, like, for example, you have very brilliant actors. There are brilliant black actors from back in the day that were playing like Step and Fetch It. For example, he's like, because I don't know you, doing all this slave talk, right? But they were not ignorant in real life. These were very well-trained, highly intelligent, smart people. But the role that they had to play on the stage, it made them appear to be ignorant. Do you understand what I'm saying? You as an individual, you were not created to be stupid, dumb, or ignorant. You were not created to be any of these things. But this stage will only help you out, will only support you if you follow the script. But you as an individual, the way you have been created with the same stuff that any other person has in terms of intelligence, understanding, being able to dissect things, to have discernment. You are no different than anybody else. No government on this world can define who I really am. They can't define. They can try to define me within their narrative, But outside of their narrative, they can't do it. That's why they had to force you to read their books, their Bible. They had to force you into their religion, because by staying in their religion, it keeps you in their narrative. It gives you a motive to hold on to their narrative. Do you understand what I'm saying? So on this stage, what you see isn't what it really is. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about some of the people that you may see, black folks that you see acting stupid and crazy and dumb on the streets, on Twitter, on social media, or whatever. The only reason why they are carrying on like that, the only reason why you see that, the primary reason, is because in most cases we have come to accept where we are. Let me tell you something. My credit report doesn't fully tell the whole picture of who I am. Just like it doesn't tell the whole picture of who you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? My bank account doesn't tell the whole picture of who I am. It doesn't. The type of car that I drive, it doesn't define me. The type of house that I live in, it doesn't define me. It just so happens that I'm living where I am. It just so happens this is how much money I got in my account. But it doesn't define me when you look beyond what this stage, this matrix system is. And what many of our people have done is that we have come to accept this as our absolute reality. And this hogwash that we're going through right now, we have come to accept that and have clothed ourselves with curses. Because why? Because this system demands that your black behind gets in line and accept your role in this narrative as being someone that's cursed, and there's no hope for you unless you get on your knees and bow down to our Lord and Savior. And even with that, you still ain't getting healed. You still ain't, none of the promises are ever coming through, except when you're dead. It's funny how that works. But it keeps you on the narrative. All right, let's go. Let's go back here. Now, again, like people like Johnny here, again, I'm not, like I said, again, I'm about discussion. So Johnny said, you are wrong about that scripture. Number one, let me help you out. When you're communicating, number one, say exactly what scripture am I wrong about. Number two, respectfully, then you say, this is where you are wrong. That's all you got to say. But just simply blurting out you're wrong, that doesn't help anything. It doesn't do anything. I'm trying to help people to communicate so that we can have conversation. You understand? And that's what we're here to do. And maybe once we're finished here, I will open the phone line up. All right, let's go here. Let me see. Do I have it? Oh, I don't have it on the screen. Okay, let me get back on the screen here. Oh, okay. I'm trying to see where I am. Okay. 44. He shall lend. Okay, we already talked about that. 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. Again, as we said, there is roughly 612, if I'm mistaken, 612, 613, someone correct me, laws, statutes, and commandments. Like I'm going to say this, like I said earlier, and I'll say it again. Why on earth would your God put you in a position where it's impossible for you to do all of these laws? Johnny said, I'm referenced going into the ship, sir. I'm not there yet. So that's why you got to sit down and wait to that point. Okay. Because we're still going through the verse. We're going through the chapter. Okay. So I'm not there yet. So you may want to just pull back, pump those brakes a little bit. When we get to it, we'll talk about that part. But like I told you in the beginning, maybe you missed that part. I said we're going to go through the whole chapter. And as you see right now, we're like at verse 46, I think right now. Verse you're talking about is at 68. So you may want to wait for a little bit. Okay. All right. Anyway, so let's go in here. Let's see. Let's see. 45%. Okay. 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 We're at 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever. All right. And then it says, let's see, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Let's stop there for a second. There are many people out here who are following the Bible the best way they can with joyfulness and gladness of heart. And yet, according to many of you, they are still cursed. Okay, so you got to explain that. How is it that you got people out here, good people, who are doing these things, following the Bible the best way they can? They're not able. Thank you, one nigga. They're not able to do all 613. By your own definition, you're saying that they're cursed. That's what many of you say. Not all. You got some Hebrews say, well, you know, they're the ones that will embrace the grace and forgiveness, you know, that's offered in the New Testament. You know what I mean? But you also got Hebrews that ain't with that. Okay. All right, let's go on. And I'm not mad. Anybody, you hear my voice, raising my voice, I'm not. Only thing I'm mad at is willing ignorance and the lies that this enemy has put in our mouths. I don't know y'all to be mad, okay, at y'all individually. So if I'm talking to anybody specifically, if I'm addressing you, please don't jump in your feelings and your emotions, okay? All right, let's go. Okay, we're at 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Again, people can apply that to slavery, to the transatlantic slave trade, to the Arabic slave trade. But again, it is not exclusive to that. There are many other cases where that happened. But if you read this verse here, again, you got to follow your own logic. You have to follow your own logic here. All right. Because on one hand, what you're saying is because black folks aren't doing all the law, statutes, and commandments, that we're forever cursed until one day magically everybody gets cursed. But on the other hand, there are many examples of people, black folks, who aren't in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And no, we're not walking around with a yoke of iron on our necks. You understand what I'm saying? That's not happening now. That was one slice of event in our history, and that's it. But that is not an eternal part of our history. Because I want to make sure I'm clear on this, because what this whole passage is saying is that until y'all get it right, until you do everything that I'm telling you to do, you are going to be bound with this walking in nakedness, walking around with a yoke of iron around your neck. That's not happening now. That is not happening right now. You're only using one little slice of our history to make this make sense to you, but that's not happening. 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far and from the ends of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Now, this is another one that people like to use. They like to say, see, because English or that was a language that. This couple of logics, couple of things they'll say is that English wasn't our normal language, right? It wasn't a language that we heard. We had our own language, right? Which, according to them, it was Hebrew, right? This is according to them now. I'm trying to follow the logic here. That as black folks, we were all sitting in the kingdom of Weda, which is the kingdom of Judah, according to these people. We were all sitting around chilling in the kingdom of Judah, speaking Hebrew. And then all of a sudden, these English folks and these French folks and these Portuguese came in, speaking a language that we didn't understand. And that proves it right there. That's it. That settles it right there. And then what they'll also do is they'll show their flags, their country flags, and their country flags will have like an eagle on it. And they'll say, see, there you go. It's confirmation bias, y'all. So you take little pieces of different things there and try to throw it all together to make it make sense. You can look at that and try to make it work, but it's not exclusive to black people. All right. Verse 50, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old or show favor to the young. I mean, that's very general and broad. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks or sheep, until he has destroyed thee. This happens all the time, and it is not exclusive to us. So we have read 51 verses so far, and now one of these verses scream and shout exclusive black people. Not one, unless you're looking for that. Verse 52, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fence walls come down, wherein thou trusteth throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all the land which the Lord thy God has given thee. Again, that's very general and that's very broad. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body. Okay, check this out now. Let's check this out now. It's going to get so bad for us as people, black folks, that we're going to eat the fruit of our own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord God has given thee in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee. I want anybody in this chat right now, if you've been that poor to eat your children, please go get help. And while you're doing that, we'll go and call the cops, because you on some Silence of the Lamb stuff there. You on some Silence of the Lamb stuff there. Name me currently today black folks that are of right mind that are doing this because they're cursed. Yeah, I'm starting now. You out. Some people I'm just taking out because they can't handle it. Some of these people, I don't know. It ain't all up there. It's not all upstairs. It just isn't. And I say that respectfully. And I'm not gonna even bother trying to engage with people who just. I'm telling you what I encounter a lot. Once I listen to some of these people, I'm like, okay, okay. So no, that ain't gonna happen. You're going, bye. Okay, so let's continue here. So again, I'm going to step right here, right now, and I challenge anybody. To tell me in today's time, today, don't point out an instance during slavery or something like that. I'm talking right now. I'm talking right this second. I want you to name for me the instances where black people or people that have gone through, that are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade in 2024, we are so bad off that we're eating our own children. No. Someone said, I think it might also be figuratively. No. We're not, like I said, we're not doing the metaphoric and we're not doing the figurative stuff. This is exactly what this thing is. We're reading as is. We can't afford to put our own, well, it could mean this, or it could mean that. We can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not mad at you because you're just throwing out ideas. But what I'm saying is, as we're reading this, one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest issues, especially in religion, is that it allows so much space for people to read in what it could mean and what it could, all that stuff. No. We need specifics. 400 years, we ain't got time to be guessing. We need some specifics. And right now, we got to look at this thing specific. And specifically, it's telling us that we're going to be eating the flesh of our children. I don't think you can get any clearer than that. And it says, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother and towards the wife of his bosom and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Okay, that again, this is all over the place here. If you're trying to apply it to black folks, that's what I'm trying to say. Within the context of who this scripture or this passage is talking about, and maybe it does make sense. Maybe they did that kind of stuff. We ain't do that stuff. All right, 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom and towards her son and towards her daughter. That is not exclusive to black folks. You have that happening all over. This is happening all over. And towards her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and towards her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. That kind of goes along with what we was just reading there. Verse 58, if thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law. Now remember, what does it say? If thou wilt not observe to do some of the words of this law. No. It says all the words of this law. How many laws? 613. So if you are not performing all the words of this law, 613, let's read it, of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God. Then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness of long continuance. Is this something exclusive to black people? No. And I'm going to keep asking this over and over again. You got a lot of people where that can fall under. Verse 60, moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. All the diseases of Egypt are now on black people. All of them. They ain't on nobody else. They on black folks. Okay. All right, let's continue. Verse 61, and every sickness and every plague which is not written in this book of the law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. Again, he like doggone it, all of them. And things you can't even think of. I'm gonna make that up too and put that on you. All right, verse 62, and ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. So our numbers, black folks, our numbers are going down now, according to this. Our numbers are going down. We curse, right? So that means black folks ain't really having children like we were having. That's not according to the government. The government of this land is actually saying the opposite. That not only black folks, but other non-white groups are going to outnumber white people in the next within the next 50 years. So how is this even possible? Who are they talking about? How is this exclusive to black people? Verse 63, and it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoice over you to do good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. So when you serve Yahweh, remember we told you Yahweh is the Canaanite deity. And we've shown you that time and time and time and time and time and time and time again, that anytime in the Bible, all you got to do is go to Strong's if you want to do that. When you see Lord, it's actually referring to Yahweh. Yahweh is the Canaanite deity under El. You can't get around that. Even if you say, well, I don't call him Yahweh, I call him Yah. It's the same thing. That's like saying, I don't call him Satan, I call him the devil. It's the same thing. You can't get around it. All right. And then this is the one. So all these details that we just went over, a lot of people, they skip over that, right? They skip over all of that stuff because, see, in order for this to fit to be exclusively dealing with black people, all of it got to fit. You can't pick one thing and say that that is black people. All of it's got to fit, because this same logic means I can go and watch a movie that is about people in Finland dealing with some stuff the way I would personally deal with it. And it's like me saying, hey, that's me. I must be Finnish. This is the same logic that you're using. So you can't pick and choose the thing. Again, history isn't a buffet bar. You don't get to pick and choose the things that you want and kind of hem it all together and say, that's me. No, you got to look at all of it. Either all of it applies or none of it applies. All right, so let's go in here, because this is where we get into the zone now where people, a lot of our people will focus on this and say, see, it's talking about us. Verse 64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Okay, they mention it the second time they mention it. So we're going to be scattered from one end of the earth to the other. Now remember, you have to understand, like I said earlier, when the Bible mentions earth, it is always referring to the Mesopotamian, the Mediterranean area. It is not referring to anything else but that. And to prove that, again, you got to go look at what the words of Jesus. If you go into the New Testament, he said, go, he told his most loyal, his most obedient followers, he said to do what? To go into all the world and to preach the gospel. When you track where these apostles went to, they did not go into Central and Southern Africa. They did not go into Hawaii. They did not go to New Zealand. They did not go to Antarctica. They did not go to the Americas. They went and stayed within the Mesopotamian area. And they also went as far as India. Now, again, this is according to biblical account. That's not according to actual history. That's according to biblical account. So anytime when the Bible says earth, go into all the earth from one end of the earth to the other, that is all they talking about, because that's all they knew. So when you read it within that context, what it's referring to is that these individuals that they're referring to, they were going to be scattered all throughout that earth, what they knew as earth at that time. But when we read it, what we do is we'll read it and say that, oh, it's talking about over here, that we were going to be sent to America. We were going to be sent to Central South America. You can make that plausible. But again, you're reading it through your own lens. So it does make sense when you're reading it through that lens. But when you look at it in its fullest context, it does not apply, because it all has to fit. You can't just skip on a few verses and then hem those up and say that it's you. No, you can't do that. That's not being honest. It's not being honest at all. All right, let's continue. Verse 65, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shalt thy sole of thy feet have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and a failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. Again, very general. Verse 66, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. Again, very general. Verse 67, in the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even. And at even thou shalt say, would God it were morning. For the fear of thy heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. Again, very general. Verse 68, we finally made it. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Like I said, you're going to read it. You're going to better read the whole thing. That's how we do here. This ain't Build-A-Bear history here. We're going to look at the whole thing. We're looking at the whole thing. Let's read that again. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. There you go. That's the proof text right there. That slaves are going to be transported to Egypt again with ships. Now, what Hebrews say, what I used to say as well, is that America, when you look at America for real, you go in DC, you go, in many ways, they do see themselves as Egypt, as the new Egypt. They do. That's very true. America, in many ways, is viewed as the new Egypt. It's viewed as the modern Babylon. This is the government of this land have left many clues to that, to say that this, in fact, is a revitalization or reinvention of Egypt. Okay. You can spend a whole lot of time with that. Okay. Is that plausible? Yes. All right. And they said you'll come to Egypt again in ships. Now, when I looked at this, is there any other instances in history, not biblical history, but just history in general, when RJ, yeah, I'm gonna get to that because that's a point too. I'm gonna talk about that. When they say, okay, when they get to, okay, hold on, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. They said most of the slaves that were bought and sold by Egypt, it was mostly done because you had the Nile that went through there. So, most of the trading they would do when it came to slaves, it was mainly local. You weren't not going to really find too many instances where Egypt was going all the way down to like South Africa to get slaves and come up. They weren't doing that. Most of the slaves that they have that's on record, historical record, it was all local. It was like the Nubian area and all that, because, Nubian and in Egypt, they were always going button heads and all that. So that's how that kind of went. Okay. So is it possible that some of them maybe took ships and went up the Nile into Egypt and all that? That's possible. So again, we're going to put that's possible. Okay. So he says, I'm going to bring you into Egypt again with ships. Now, RJ brought up a good point. He says, doesn't Egypt mean bondage? That's another argument that Hebrews use when they say that, yeah, it was not physical Egypt. The word Egypt actually means bondage or Misraim, right? And so you're going to be brought into bondage again. All right. So there are several paths you can go with this, that I'm just saying, again, this is not me saying this. These are the arguments that Hebrews put out and say that, well, it's proving that America is Egypt again. Right. But if you think about it, the United States isn't the only place that the African slaves went to. They went to Central America. They went to South America. You also had Africans that were sold as slaves in the Arab slave trade. They went all kinds of points. So again, when someone says that this is referring to America, they are only revealing themselves and revealing their belief system, that their belief system is only an American-based belief system. It's based on an American worldview. It's only speaking for people here in America. It's not speaking for all the other people who went other places. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not speaking for that. But again, if you're looking with a narrow lens at this verse, it does apply. You can make this fit, right? You can make this fit. But when you look at history in its totality, in a much wider scope, it applies to a whole lot of other things too. And there are many cases, many cases where this can apply to other things. By the way, I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Let me ask you something again. The transatlantic, did they buy Africans as slaves? Yes or no? Did they have a problem when it came to buying Africans? Did they say, I ain't trying to buy them. I ain't trying to buy them black folks. I ain't trying to spend a dime on them. Did that happen? No. They made a ton of money on that. So much so they made so much money, they were able to build nations off of the buying and selling of our people. So people were, in fact, buying and selling us. So again, you cannot take one excerpt of a verse and say this proves that all of this applies to us. You can't do that. That's not even being intellectually honest on any scale. It's not. So we just spent this time, and I know it was a lot of labor here, going from verse 1, because at first I was just going to go right to the curses, but I said, no, let me read the whole thing, the blessings and the curses. Because that way there's no, I'm leaving no stone unturned with this. And yes, I probably will open the phone line up too, just to take a few of your calls. But like I said, you better be respectful, and you better stay on point. Okay? I'll be willing to open that up, but you better be respectful, and you better stay on your point. Don't be bouncing all around, okay? Because you'll be talking to my cousin Tone very quickly. All right? So we went through this entire passage here. So again, let me get out of this here. So what belief system? So there's the overwhelming majority of this chapter that we just read. The overwhelming majority can apply to pretty much anybody. It really can. There's very little in it when you honestly read it, like as we just did, that screams this is dealing specifically with black people. There's nothing in it that screams that, if you're totally honest. Unless you look at this chapter and you pull out one verse here, or you pull out a part of a verse here and you splice them together, it will make sense. Absolutely. Because you're looking for that. But if you're being honest and reading this thing from chapter 1 to chapter 68, there is absolutely nothing in this thing that says this entire chapter is referring specifically to black people. There's nothing in there on that. So I know that this evening, during this broadcast, we had quite a few people that had a lot of mouth and you had a lot to say. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take a short break. I know we've been on here for 2 hours. That's fine. I'm cool. but I will be willing to open up the phone line. Now, like I said again, here's the thing. You have to be respectful and you have to stay on your point. And you must be bringing absolute facts to the table. Don't bring in anything else. Okay? And tonight, I'm gonna be a little shorter tonight. I'm not mad at you, but I'm about business. And the way I view this passage now, anybody, and I do mean anybody that is out here in these streets that is telling you that in order for you to find identification in this book, you have to go to the most cursed part of it to find your identification. You're a witch and you're a warlock. Plain and simple. Because like I said on that little square that I did earlier, only in stories you'll find the witches and warlocks reminding people over and over again, ooh, you're cursed. Ooh, there's no hope for you. Ooh. And then the only way you break free is that some impossibility has to happen. And so far, the impossibilities I'm hearing, 400 years, magically something's going to happen. That didn't come through. The eclipse, something's going to happen. Nothing happened with that. Now the next thing is we got cruise ships that's supposed to, SS Negro supposed to be coming around and picking up everybody. I could deal with a little crazy tonight and but like I said again, you're going to be on a very short leash. Okay, so give me a moment here. Let me put on a little music here and set the tone and the mood and all of that. And we're going to give people opportunity, all right, to be specific, all right? All right, so let me find some music here. Let me put something on real quick here, and then I'm going to get set up. And let's see. All right, yeah, that's good. That's a good calm one. All right, that's good. All right, let's see. What's the name of that? Oh, okay, Google. I'm just finding the number now. Hold on. All right, there you go. Phone line is up. And we are waiting for you to call in. All right. Phone line is up. And like I said again, you got to be specific, okay? Because we're about business tonight, okay? We're about business tonight. I'm going to let you have your say, but you're not doing a sermon on this dime, okay? We're not going to do a sermon tonight. You're going to stay on point, stay exactly on topic. You're not going to be taking us all throughout the other parts of the Bible to prove anything. Tonight, we're only speaking about Deuteronomy chapter 28. That's it. We ain't talking about Isaiah. We ain't talking about Genesis. We ain't talking about Luke. We ain't talking about none of that. We're talking about Deuteronomy 28. Let that passage stand on its own. You ain't got to help it out with anything else or a dream or vision that you had. The passage has to match with actual factual history. So, like again, I'm giving you the fair opportunity to come on here and you can have your say. And see, what I'm also aware too is that you got some people, what they'll do is they won't say anything. Then what they'll do is y'all be gassing other YouTubers up to try to do something because you won't say anything. And also let me be clear about this too. This is not about you. I'm going to make you agree with everything I'm saying. Nobody's trying to do that. Nobody's trying to do that. On this platform, we welcome dialogue. We welcome different points of view on topics. You're more than welcome. It's just that, like I said, again, you got to stay on point. You got to be factual. You can't be just making stuff up. Okay. That's it. As long as you're not doing any of that and as long as you being factual, you staying on point and you're not drifting all over the place, you got an open mic here where you can talk. Hold on. This always happens, y'all. I'm just enjoying the music. This always happens. I give people an opportunity, and then what happens is the video will be up. I'll go to bed, and the next day I'll have all these comments of people going in saying all kinds of stuff. But I'm giving you the opportunity. Nobody's going to try to embarrass you, or anything like that. You're given the opportunity if there's something that I'm said or I presented tonight, because all we did really was go through the scriptures from the passage of Deuteronomy 28. We went from chapter 1 and we went all the way to from verse 1 to verse 68. And we're giving people the fair opportunity to come in, and if there is a different point of view, we want to hear your point of view, but your point of view has to be focused on the chapter that we're talking about. And that's it. You cannot have us drifting over into the book of Genesis or the book of Maccabees and all that stuff. And we're not going there. We're talking right here. We're staying right here in this passage. And to be clear, anybody that's been on our lives in the past, how we get down when it comes to people calling in. We're extremely respectful. There's nobody talking over each other. We're not yelling at anybody. We're not doing any of that. We let you talk, but you have to be, again, you got to stay on point though. You understand what I'm saying? Because we got to be respectful of other people's time. What was I going to say too? Another thing is we have a research group. If you're interested in joining that, feel free to do so. The way you access that, you can just go to the front of our YouTube page, and in front of our YouTube page, we have a join button. Before you click that join button, there is a video. It's about a 4-minute video. Watch that. That tells you everything, what to expect and all of that. This week for the research group, if you're on here, we're going to get some more stuff out. This week it's been something, but we're going to get some more stuff out here, as we're moving towards the weekend. So, but we do have a chat group where we're constantly uploading, passing messages to each other and adding different things and all of that. And, you get access to over close to 200 books. You get access to, different study notes and things like that. And we try to put quite a bit up there, but nobody, absolutely nobody in the group, including myself, we're up here acting as if we have all the answers, because none of us do. We don't. We just want to have a place where we can feel free to ask questions and explore these different things, and without feeling like if you dare to say anything, you're gonna be struck down by lightning and all this stuff. No, it's time out for that. Too many of our people are getting sick. Too many of our people are dying. There's mass confusion out there amongst our people. We gotta stop the madness, and we have to do. We gotta be able to have these kind of discussions like this. Who's that asked that? They said, Dwayne, just curious, can we do a movie night, or can we watch an? I would love to do a movie night, but right now I'm trying to get our people out of a movie, because too many of our people, they feel like they're in a movie right now. I'm serious, and I'm not trying to be deep. I'm just saying. I would love to see us, do that again, and we'll return to that maybe at some point. But I just think right now there's too much fantasy out here, and it's bad fantasy at that. You fantasizing that you curse because that gives you purpose. What kind of mess is that? I'm giving, like I said again, I'm just enjoying the music myself, so it ain't bothering me any if nobody calls. But I'm just sitting here, I'm enjoying the music. But again, this is another one for the record. We went through the entire chapter, and there's nothing in that chapter that we can see on its own that screams that this is exclusively talking about black people. Now, I've seen some people try to clean it up a little bit with the rebuttals and say, well, Deuteronomy 28 ain't the only place. I didn't say it was the only place that y'all use. I never said that. But it is a primary proof text that is used by many people who claim to be Hebrews. But yet, once you go through the actual details of the chapter, there's nothing in it at all that screams that it's dealing with black people. This all dealing with black people. It's not. There's some things, but not all of it. No. Someone said, have you received any feedback from preachers about your content? I can tell you, answer that right now before I read the rest of it. No. Not that I don't know if I'm supposed to expect that. I don't know, but I feel like many are unable to explain a lot of what they preach about. I think that's the story of most preachers out there today. And, but the people don't really, they just keep following along. They don't want to ask anything, I saw today, I sent this to somebody. You hear me a lot of times, I'll say, in that space, really what it's about at the end of the day, I'm talking about the Hebrew space. It's really at the end of the day, that in many ways they want to be them folks. They want to be them folks at the end of the day. They want to be the Jewish people. And in just about every way, you listen to their words. You try to pronounce words the way they pronounce. You celebrate the same holidays that they do. You try to dress like them, all while calling yourself fake. And people get mad when I say that. But I think there's two incidences right now, and I'll probably talk about that on our next what is it? The plantation, a digital plantation podcast, where you had Hebrew Israelites that were physically attacking pro-Palestinian protesters in the streets. There's at least two instances right now that I'm pretty sure this one was the second one. They're physically attacking pro-Palestinian people in the streets. Now, I mention that because when you see these same Hebrews engaging with Hebrews, they will never lay a hand on those people. They would never lay a hand on those people. They'll do a debate on YouTube, or you'll occasionally see them going back and forth on the street, but you'll never see them laying their hands. I mean, just going off and about to knock their head clean off. It was another thing I saw recently, and this is it was a black Jewish synagogue, and yes, they do exist. Now, I'm just telling you what I saw. Okay, I'll be more than happy to play the video too. Maybe one day I will share the video. It's on YouTube. These folks do not. Anyway, you know how you seen black folks? We be on here trying to, some of our people trying to blow the shofar, and that thing be just sounding like, be sounding just like that, and and you're like, and then people not even being honest up here talking about, oh, I just sense the anointing on that. Like, come on, man. Well, this black synagogue, what they have done is that they have a white Ashkenazi Jewish man come in with his children, and they blow the shofar for this black congregation. So don't tell me that you ain't trying to be like these people. You are literally bringing their rabbis into your gathering places so that they can blow the shofar for you. I'm not making any of this up. I'm not. And a research group, I'll actually post a video on there for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Someone said, that's not true. They did get in a fight with the Palestinians and the Hebrews. What are you talking about? That's what I just said. Yeah, RJ said, fun fact, Africa has tons of shofar horn. Exactly. But they don't call them shofar. They do, like the Zulus. There's other groups that do blow it. It's just us over here. We just ain't got that training. We just don't. We ain't got that training yet. What you're listening to, this is some more. This is I'm almost finished the second album, and two, we're gonna get this out. This one is called Good Men.
He never neglects his woman, his rod, his shining star. He'll go to the end. No matter how far, in the morning light, when the world awakes, a man stands tall, never hesitates. He's a gentleman with a heart so pure. In his love, we all can find a cure. In his love, we all can find a cure. In his home, he provides and protects with unwavering love. He never neglects his woman, his rod, his shining star. He'll go to the ends. No matter how far, in the morning light, when the world awakes, a man stands tall, never hesitates. He's a gentleman with a heart so pure. In his love, we all can find a cure. In his love, we all can find a cure. In his home, he provides and protects with unwavering
The phone,
love.
someone said they tried to call and it's not working. It's on. I'm sitting here looking at it.
His woman, his rod, his shining star. He'll go to the ends, no matter how far.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and end it here. Oh, let's see what. My think we're gonna end it here. Let me see. Yeah, I know. I just caught that. Someone said it's not working. I'm literally looking at the line here, and if someone, even if it didn't reach my phone for some reason, okay, hold on, just a second here. I think I see the thing. Okay, hold on for a sec. All right, hold on. Hold on, let me just, I have to. All right, hello, can you hear me? Hold on, let me turn this off here. Hold on. Okay, let's see. All right, I got, oh, there you go. Can you hear me?
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure the phone worked.
All right, can you hear me? Oh. Hey, man. What's up, man?
I just wanted to see if it was working. My bad. I didn't want nothing.
Oh, no, you good. You good. All right, bro. All right, you take care. Thanks for doing that. All right, bye. All right, so yeah, so it does work. So I'm sit here. Someone else said they tried to call, so let me go ahead and wait for that person to come in and call in. And if you try again, who is it? Margot? Is it Margot that It says try three. She said try 3 times on landline, 1 on cell. Too bad you've changed. No, that's what I said. Just try to call again. I don't know what happened, but I'm here. Audio is low. I can't. I'm waiting, literally sitting here, and you see the gentleman just called, and it looks like it works. All right, can you hear me now? Someone said my audio is low. There we go. All right, caller, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. This is Margot?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. All right, so you say you can hear me fine. All right, so go ahead, Margot. What you got for us today?
Well, someone had put it in the chat. It's interesting because it was like my question is, well, who was, this chapter, Deuteronomy 28, who is it referring to if not the Hebrews?
Mm-hmm. Margot, what I'm gonna do for some reason, I want to have you call me back, okay? I'm gonna have you call me back. There's something going on here. Hold on, just a second, okay? Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait. Don't, before you go, someone said they can't hear. Now they're saying it's better. So hold on for just a second. Let me just see. Y'all tell me. Okay, some people saying it's low. Some people saying they can't hear. So let me just still try to figure this out and see what other people are saying. Now someone's saying they can hear now. All right. So all right. Still, y'all, let me know. Keep letting me know. Can you hear me now? Before we continue the conversation. Still waiting for y'all. Yeah, just let me know. Now someone said audio is gone. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see.
The devil is busy.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right, let's see.
We still believe in him now, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, Margot, let me hang up, and then I'll have you call. Like, give me like, wait about a minute. I'll give you 2 minutes, and then call me right back. Okay, I'm right here. I'm not going nowhere.
No,
All right.
no problem.
All right. Bye. All right. Let's see here. Let's get out of this, and then we're gonna go back, and let's do this again. Google. Voice. Ooh, can you type Dwayne? All right, Google voice. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, let's see here. Okay. And let me see. All right, Margot, if you're watching, don't call just yet, okay? Just give me, I'll tell you when to call me, okay? All right, let's see. There's the doggone settings on this thing. Hold on. Don't allow. 267. All right, not yet. Not yet, Margot. Hold on. For some reason, it's not switching to my phone. Hold on. Oh, I know what's happening. I know what's happening. My bad. My bad. Don't call me yet, y'all. Don't call me yet. I see. I know. I now know what's going on. I know what's. I got the. All right. All right. All right. My bad. That was all 100% my fault. I was like, why is this thing not even ringing? Okay. All right. I'll tell you when to call me back. All right, come on, pick up. All right, all right. Okay, so now yeah, you can go ahead and call me. You go ahead and call, and then y'all should be able to yeah, people will be able to hear you. So yeah, go ahead and call me, and it should work now. Yeah, because I was like, why is this thing not ring? Like my phone wasn't even ringing. All right, let's see. Sorry about that. All right. So just waiting for someone to call. Now I'm talking right now. People saying that I'm low. I'm not even on the phone right now. So am I still low? All right, here we go. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Okay, stay right there. We're gonna get you. All right. How about now?
I can hear you fine.
Keep talking. Let me see. Why is this thing not? Okay, say something to me.
Um,
There we go. I got you. That's good. That's all I need to hear. Okay, I think we got it now. All right.
okay.
All right. So go ahead now. What were you asking?
Well, my question is, who who is Deuteronomy 28 talking about, if not the Hebrew people?
Well, well again, we have to. We're reading it. It was clearly designed, or it was written for what they say the Hebrew people. But
Right.
the definition is who are the Hebrew people. That's where we get mixed up because we're saying that the Hebrew people are black people. But when you look at our plight as individuals, it doesn't match what is being it doesn't match it. Hold on, I'm a little distracted here because of the people are saying they can't hear me. Hold on, let me pull something out here. Okay, so let me, I am sorry because this never happens here. Hold on, let me just see something here. I'm just looking at here because I'm still answering your question here. Hold on.
I understand.
Oh, let me see. All right, so I can hear. I'm on my phone right here, and I can hear myself fine, y'all. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe if it's happening to you, then it means there's something I still need to look at. All right, someone update me so I can. I don't have to. I don't hold Margot up any longer here. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Yeah. All right. So I'm Margot. We're gonna keep on talking. So I don't know what's going on there, but anyway.
Okay.
So anyway. So yeah. So it's the assumption that is made in your question is that we are the Hebrew people. But as we just went through this chapter from top to bottom, none of it really, we can honestly say, unless you use a filter, can you absolutely say it applies to us? Do you understand what I'm saying? So what you're asking is, then if it's not us, then who? Well, the who is basically the intended people that it was written about in that time. We are not the intended people at that time because we didn't live. That was written for those people in that Mesopotamian area that I keep talking about, or Mediterranean. Many of us that came through the transatlantic slave trade or through the Arab slave trade, we came from Central to Southern Africa. That's where many of us come from. And so we weren't even a glimmer in their eye when it comes to who is who in the Bible versus who ain't. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So what else do you have? Did I answer it, or did you have more? I'm not rushing you at all because you've been very patient. I appreciate it.
Oh, no. I understand technology, and when you're live, it gets even more interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, I've heard this. You've been mentioning Mesopotamia, quite a bit recently, and that whole premise, has sort of been, well, I'll just put it this way, argued among scholars, African scholars, and African Caribbean scholars as well, that civilization did not begin in Mesopotamia, that it did begin in Africa, Central Africa.
100%. I agree.
Okay, so that part, thank you. So I'm glad that we agree on that. But there were several dispensations of that I am aware of that when I say dispensations, because that can have a couple of different meanings of the Hebrews' captivity. Starting with Egypt and then Assyria and Babylon and Persia and Greece and Rome and now the USA. And in all of those different dispensations, people were eating their children because they were being starved or they were for various reasons. And so it's like that piece sort of like it evaded me. I'm like, well, okay, maybe not in the USA. People weren't eating their children. But, I mean, we can just go back to the 60s, what was going on over in Africa with the tribe that, I can't think of the name of it now, it just jumped out of my head. But there was the Biafran wars that was going on. And this is before your time, but your mother would know, growing up, eat your food, the Biafrans are starving. And we had no idea. We just thought, oh, those some poor kids in Africa. Come to find out, it was like not until a few years ago did we find out that Biafra was, in Nigeria. And they, too, are, of Hebrew heritage. So they were more than likely, I don't know, but they were starving to death. Perhaps they were eating their children. All I'm saying is...
Whoa. Let's stop there. You said perhaps. That's a big word there.
Well, but Dwayne, I wasn't there. And we know the news that we get isn't exactly going to give us accuracy. That's why a lot of this... But I'll shut up and let you talk.
Oh, no. I'm saying you just said perhaps they were eating their children. But that's a big word. That's like perhaps I was a millionaire yesterday.
But perhaps I wasn't there. And perhaps we did not get all of the information. And perhaps the parents, because they even made jokes about it, which I thought was very distasteful. Saturday Night Live used to do it and all, where they would have the, the hero Caucasian missionaries going there, feed the hungry children. And the parents are walking around looking quite healthy, and yet the babies had extended bellies. So my question is, Were they eating their children during that time? It's not a stretch. It's not a stretch. Starving people resort to any means necessary. So, and that was in my lifetime. You wasn't born, well, you were probably born in the 70s, late 70s. So it's like, you know, it was when I was growing up, and your mom, because we're about the same age. So it's like, okay. All I'm saying is, whenever the question, the one thing pertaining to Deuteronomy 28, because I want to stay on topic, the one thing that really grabbed everybody's attention, because the one question with all of the unjust killings of our young people and older, the question is why? Why are we treated like this? Why do they hate us? We follow the rules. We did everything we were supposed to do, yet we're still oppressed, we're still hated, mistreated. And then Deuteronomy 28 with the curses, because let us remember, we were only taught the blessings. You'll be in the field and you in the store and in your home and you'll just be doing fine, but the curses were left out. My question is, why?
No,
why didn't
the curses were not left out. They made sure we
Who
had
taught
that
on
part.
the curses? Well,
The Bible was, in other words, when the Bible was given to us, that was not excluded. Period.
When we came up, Dwayne, did you ever hear them preaching about curses?
I ain't talking about who preaching. I'm not talking about who preached it. I'm talking about is it in the Bible?
That's where everybody got their doctrine and their understanding and their
foundation. That means that's the problem of the people. That's not problem with the text. The text has always been the text. So you can't blame the preacher for not preaching it. But it was hidden. No, it was not hidden. It was never hidden. You just never read it.
Exactly.
That's my point. So
hello, you telling the truth. So me and a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, so we never read it, so we can't say that was hidden or the other books were hidden. There were no hidden books. We always say this, and it was never any books written or hidden. We just never read it. And if we had
there were hidden, yes, in the slave Bible. In the so-called quote slave Bible,
there were some books that were hidden, but most cases, believe it or not, because we like to always bring up the slave Bible was not a standard issue amongst all plantations. That was only a small portion of plantations that had the slave Bible. But let me finish. And another thing too is that the slave Bible, it excluded the story of Moses bringing the people out of captivity. That's what was left out. But why is it, if we were so ignorant and didn't know, and we only had the slave Bible, then why is it that we have many men in that time that were named Moses? I'm talking about slaves. They would name themselves Moses. They would name themselves after Bible characters that did survive that did come out of Egypt. My point is that many of our people, we did have access to a majority of the Bible. We did. And a lot of times we will bring up the slave Bible as proof that somehow all of us only had a small portion. That's not true. Many of us had, a majority of us had an access to the entire book. And we can't excuse the fact that we didn't read it and say it's the pastor, they didn't tell us about it. We can't excuse that. It was available. Some of us read it, some of us didn't. That's just how that works. So getting back to your central question is as far as who does it apply to, and or rather going back to the examples you were bringing, that it could perhaps be, you saw children that had bloated stomachs. I'm old enough to remember that, and to some measure it still happens. But when you look at bloated stomachs, for example, that can be of many things. Malaria causes that. A lot of other stuff happens that. But anybody,
for the most part, starvation. For the most part.
But starvation, but it does not.
Drought. No. They were talking about. I'm being specific now, not with malaria or anything like that. I'm talking about specifically where where there was drought and there was nothing green to be found anywhere to eat because the ground was parched. Right. There was nothing. The cows were skinny. I mean, It was like there was nothing to eat. What I'm saying is this. It's good to have questions, but things have to, in my opinion, have to be put in context. We went through 7 dispensations of captivity.
Okay.
The Bible is written, and we got and these these things would come on you, and I guess during various times of captivity. Nobody talks about the Greeks and what the Maccabees went through. It's like, hello, this is it. We're in the end, and in terms of the end, I'm assuming the end of time, because the way the world, everything is so jacked up in terms of the sun. If it is the sun and not a light bulb in the sky, it's like trees are dying. You're from Jersey. I'm from Jersey originally, and I'm in Florida now, and I'm getting phone calls from members of, and your mom is still up that way, I'm assuming. But the thing about it is, it's like even here in Florida, the sun, there's so much stuff coming off that sun. This planet ain't got much longer to go. 17 tornadoes in 7 states over the past week, and they're just revving up for tornado season. I'm afraid for hurricane season. Everything is flooded. Jersey is rocking and shaking, and to me, with earthquakes, 2 houses that I know of were moved off their foundations.
Okay, let me stop you there. Let me stop you here.
Manhattan.
Sorry, let me stop you for a second. Everything you mentioned has been happening for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. It is not unique. I don't
recall no rocking and shaking.
You don't recall earthquakes? You never read about earthquakes back in the day? You never heard of earthquakes happening in places like in Rome, all throughout Italy. I'm talking about ancient Rome. I'm talking about ancient Greece.
Of course.
So my point is that earthquakes have been happening a very, very long time on this earth, and it's not exclusive to this time period that we're in right now. So it's nothing, anything unique.
With intensity. You know what?
No.
I know what you're saying.
No, you don't. You clearly don't. You clearly don't. Because what I'm saying is, you don't clearly understand what I'm trying to tell you is that what you're trying to do.
Say that what all the other folks would say. The non-believers, I hate to put it in that perspective, they say, oh, we've seen this before. Our fathers have talked about this.
It's been
happening.
happening.
Where is the sign of his coming?
It's been
Dwayne,
happening.
I love you, my brother, but I have to disagree with you on this. I don't know what caused you to make this turn. You were a believer in our being Hebrew.
I'm a believer in truth. I'm gonna pause you. I'm gonna pause you for a second. I'm a believer.
What is truth? I'm going to go back to Rome. What is truth?
I'm a believer in truth.
My truth.
Okay, so what we're not going to do is, like I said again, I'm giving you time to talk, and I'm going to respond to everything you said. Okay.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
All right, thank you. Number one.
No, you deserve that.
Okay, number one, what you are saying as far as earthquakes are concerned, as I said before, and I'll say it again, that is not exclusive to this time period. Earthquakes have been happening for thousands of years. That is more than ample proof about that. You can go back as far as you want. It's just that because you, in your time period, this may be something that you are noticing. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden they just showed up just because you noticed it. Earthquakes been happening. Let me finish.
Okay.
Earthquakes have been happening. Storms been happening. Getting back to earthquakes again. Earthquakes, they only start measuring the earthquakes only like 100 years. So when you say intensity, again, it's not a fair assessment when you say intensity because they've only recently started measuring earthquakes and their intensity. So you can't, there's not a fair assessment. You can't even go back to, well, it was a 7.5 in Pompeii. You can't, because nobody measured it back then. We just know it happened. There was earthquakes happening in China. There's earthquakes happening in so none of this is new. It's absolutely not new. And how the heck does that make me a non-believer in truth when I just gave to you is factual history? And all you're telling me is something that is through your own personal perspective. You also just made an allegation that Africans must have been eating each other because their stomachs were big. That's something that I would hear a white racist say. Their stomachs were big, had nothing to do with them eating each other. That's some foolishness that I would hear. I would see that in cartoons or something like that. That the way they would portray black people. And no, that's not the case. You got some cases where you do have that, but that doesn't lead to black people were eating each other. And you have yet to give me one example here, because these curses that I just read, it applies to everybody. It applies to everybody that claims to be a Hebrew. You're pointing to one, maybe, if, kind of, sort of, maybe, I don't know, scenario that you are thinking about that happened in Africa somewhere, but you're not even sure yourself. And so I'm talking about here today, 2024, are black people eating each other? Yes or no? And the answer to that is no, period. So I'll let you have I'll have you the last word, and we're done.
Okay. Yeah, we are done. We're good and done. Because to be honest with you, I don't have personal knowledge of anybody eating anybody. Then that's something that they're not going to put in the paper per se. And having worked for media, I know how they can anyway leave things out. All I'm saying is, at this particular juncture, I think that this is a dangerous thing that we as a people, but see, the white man don't have to worry, because if we start doubting and saying we ain't, then the little hats can say, see, we know we the people, and they just need to shut up. So I'm just hopeful that all of this, will not go south in terms of our people's, beliefs and who they are and who the Most High, created us to be. Everything is there. We can choose to believe or not. So if you choose not to, that's your prerogative. I don't have a problem with that. I choose to. And I don't think you have to be concerned about any helicopters flying over, because with this kind of talk, you're on the right side of this thing. Have a blessed night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care now. Bye. So here we go. So again, like I said, number one, you could choose to believe what you want to believe. And nobody's mad. Like, I'm not mad at this individual at all. I'm not. But at the same time, what's not going to happen, and this is what I said beginning, what's not going to happen is you're not going to come on the platform and make a bunch of conjecture, and really you spreading lies, not just about the lies period, but lies about your own people. Talking about people in Africa, their stomachs were big because they must have been eating each other. That's some racist foolishness that I would see in cartoons growing up. People would, no, that's not the case at all. And then if this was the case, we would be seeing that happening today in the United States. We'll be seeing that in Central America, South America, but it's not happening. You do not see people getting up and eating one another. You don't see that happening. This whole foolishness about earthquakes are just increasing all over the place, and they're just shaking and rocking all over the place and all that. Well, I thought that's what an earthquake does, shake and rock. I thought that's what they do. I thought that's what an earthquake did. I thought it was something, but no, earthquakes have been happening. And what we're about on this platform, like I said again, is absolute truth, and we ain't about the foolishness, and we're not going to be making things up. If that chapter does apply 100% to black people, then 100% the chapter has to apply. We went through the whole thing. You can't pick and choose parts that you can kind of grasp onto and maybe wish and hoping or whatever. You can't do that. You got the whole thing's got to apply. And you have to be filled with some kind of self-hatred to look at the worst part of this book that was given to you by people who beat the heck out of you, raped you, and you're going to say out of that, this is me. That's crazy. That is crazy. This is what I'm saying. This case in point. Case in point. You're going to believe the worst about black people, assuming just because these old poor African children had big stomachs, they must have been eating one another. That's crazy. I don't see how y'all can how some of y'all can just go along with that kind of stuff. I don't. I really don't. I don't. Anyway, if you want to call again, the phone line is open. Like I said, I got time. Because this passage I know is a very it's a passage that a lot of people use to find verification, to find themselves in, and they try to find their identification in is by looking at the worst part of this book that they gave you. And that's some kind of, that's like, I don't know. It's like someone giving you garbage and saying, now find the slimiest part of this garbage. That's you. And you just picking in like, yeah, that's right. This look just like me, don't it? It's just like that. And I know that for some people, it is what it is. That's your choice. You just going to choose that because that's exactly where you are. You can't out argue them. You can't out debate them. You can show them every resource book that's out there. They won't look at it. And it's just what it is. And then you just have to let people go. But for me, on this platform, the thing that woke me up when I was in the Hebrew world was that the amount of self-hatred that I witnessed and I saw, it woke me right up because I saw firsthand how they viewed people on the continent. Saying that they were not the chosen or they're Hamites and they just had a lot of derogatory things to say, while the American-based Hebrews always seem to will craft their storyline to make it seem like they barely came into Africa. They came by way of Israel, and then they ended up and then they became Sephardic Jews. And they became Sephardic Jews, and then from there they got on some cruise ship. Here come the ships again. They got on some ships, and then they ended up here in America. And then when you show people those facts about who the Sephardic Jews were what they did actually, that the Sephardic Jews were actually the people who enslaved us. When you show people that, they don't want to see it. You can't help people with that. Because for them, they have to make it fit. And it's this narrative that we live in right now. This narrative, it demands that you accept what they present to you without dare questioning it. Yeah, if you dare question it, then you just, no, this belongs to us. These curses are ours. You think I'm gonna be sitting up here fighting over some curses? Yeah, one day said most of the times when they came to Bethlehem, she said it was a lot of propaganda too. Exactly. Yeah, I do remember my parents themselves. They used to tell me, not Bethlehem, but they used to say, listen, if you don't eat your food, remember them people in there's people starving in Africa. I mean, what black parent didn't say that back in the day? You know what I mean? But my mom and my dad, they were never like, you don't eat your food. Remember them Africans over there, they eating human flesh. And you better, ain't nobody said that. Ain't nobody thought that. Ain't no Negro I know that ever thought that. But when you start bringing in religion, it makes you imagine all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I can't. Well, keep on keeping on. Anyway, I'll take one more call. Like y'all see, this is the longest I've kind of sat on here. We hitting 3 hours now, and but like I said, I wanted to give this a fair hearing to look at this passage, because so many of our people had bought into this narrative. We bought into this narrative, and some of our people still buy into the narrative. And we want to give you an opportunity, and we went through it. Maybe I read something wrong. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I misinterpreted a verse or two in that passage. Maybe my own biases got in the way. You got to, like I said again, you are more than welcome to come on board and point that out. But you have to stay on topic. You have to stay on the topic of Deuteronomy 28. You can't be going to other books, other Bible verses to try to supplement what's being said in Deuteronomy 28. It's Deuteronomy 28 and Deuteronomy 28 only. I'm glad I'm actually doing this stuff like this here. Cause they're like, dog, ain't hardly nobody calling. Right. Cause see, we're not dealing with any foolishness here. We're not. And I think if anything, it also shows you have a visual example right now of a contrast. And I'm gonna say this. It's a contrast with the ton of people who regularly run their mouths all in the chat, all in the comment section. They'll do that because it's safe. But when you try to engage in an actual dialogue with a real person, unfortunately, and I say a real person, that means you and that means me. I'm not saying when you engage with my mind, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying just with a regular person. I want you to be able to hear what's coming out of your mouth. That's why I do this. And I want other people to hear what's coming out of your mouth. And what this tells me is that for many who had a lot to say, they realize what that's been coming off of their keyboard ain't adding up. Because once you ask them to actually state your point, they can't do it. But as soon as you hang up the phone, all of a sudden they on the keyboard. All of a sudden they texting. All of a sudden they're posting stuff. But you ask them to make your cake, they can't do it. So I'm giving just a little bit more time. Have someone call in, and if you want to call in, good, bad, indifferent, it don't matter. And just like the last caller, I don't hate that woman. I don't know her to hate her. All right. So someone asked, they said, have you been to Mexico? Yes. And I'm looking forward to going again. I can't wait to go again. Beautiful. I went to Mexico City, but there's so many other places in Mexico I would love to visit. And Mexico. I want to go even further into Central America, South America, further in South America. I want to do that too. So we'll be doing that soon. And there you go. All right. Y'all know how it always works. As soon as I say, okay, I'm getting ready to hang up, all of a sudden someone getting ready. So I'm giving you one last chance. All right. I'm giving you one last chance to call in. You got the phone number right on the screen. And you can call and just lay it all out. Show exactly, and I'm being very sincere here. Maybe I am missing it when I read that. When I read that, our identity is wrapped up in curses. Maybe I'm missing it somehow. Yep. Like I said again, all of this is being done for the public record. And so people can see for themselves. We don't do the throwing rocks and hiding hand stuff. We don't do that here. You have a fair opportunity because, see, again, this is something that many of you have based your life on. here to tell you it's okay to question these things. It's okay to question them. What is the question? The question again is really, where do you see, in light of, if you were on the whole broadcast, reading Deuteronomy 28, where do you see anywhere at all that perhaps I missed it, or it was incorrect, wrong interpretation, or maybe you just have a different perspective? That's pretty much what the question is, really. I mean, if you just want to make a comment, that's cool too. But in the response to the question, all I'm simply asking is, you cannot talk through the filter of your emotions. It's got to be factual. Okay. There can't be what ifs or maybes or possibilities. You got to be factual. If you don't know, don't say it. It's just very simple. And if you feel, if you're an individual that want to defend and say, yes, Deuteronomy 28 is mine. Okay. If it's yours, then show us historically how that is dealing specifically with black folks, period. That's basically it. That's a mouthful, but that's what it is. Someone said, so is an Israelite strictly color based? Well, it depends on what Israelites you talk to. It depends on which ones you talk to. Some believe it does, others believe no, but if you're talking black Hebrew Israelites, I think that pretty much answers that for you. That's what they believe. And like I said again, it really depends on who you talk to on that. But they all center on Judaism. This is something they don't want to ask. But see, I told you. Dude, caller, you on the phone?
Yes.
All right. You can hear me? Hear me good?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I can hear you good.
All right. What you got for us this evening?
Okay, you're speaking on Deuteronomy 28.
Okay.
I know I came in a little late here.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed you were speaking on Deuteronomy 28, but it's not clear. Are you speaking or asking a question? Where do Deuteronomy 28 stand as far as each individual and what they believe? Facts on Deuteronomy 28, I don't think nobody holds facts on anything in this day and time or even in time past. But when you're speaking of Deuteronomy 28, it's kind of confusing. What are you asking and what are you saying that?
Okay, let me make it clear one more time. Okay. So Deuteronomy 28, the claim is by people who claim to be Hebrews. Many of them do. They claim that, and whoever's calling, just wait till after the call. I'll be more than happy to take your call. Okay. The claim is that Deuteronomy 28, it is the proof text. One of the main proof texts. When you read it, it only applies to people who came through the transatlantic slave trade or the Arab slave trade. It's specifically and exclusively talking about black people, that it doesn't apply to anybody else. And what I'm saying is, what we did this evening, we went through that entire chapter, right? And we wanted to see, is there anything in these curses or in the blessings for that matter that scream that this is 100% talking about black folks and nobody else? And so this is challenging this whole claim that Deuteronomy 28 is black folks. So my question is, if you are someone, which I don't know, if you're someone that does believe that, then what evidence or proof do you have to show that Deuteronomy 28 does in fact apply to us 100%? Do you understand? I hope that makes it's a little bit clear. Okay, so that's the question there. So if you want to respond to that, you're more than welcome to.
Right. Okay, so I see what you're saying now. Now it makes sense in the
Mm-hmm.
question and what you asked. Okay, now when I go into Deuteronomy 28, and I have taught Deuteronomy 28, I go in it with an open mind and an open spirit. And it's more so an open spirit because I believe he's talking to a nation of people, a certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that these the same people that he's speaking to and about in regard is people that he had been dealing with for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Many times this same group of people that he put under his name, he had been turmoil and dealing with these people. For every time you turn around, he's suffering them to go into a captivity, because they were a people that just wouldn't follow any order.
Mm-hmm.
Even the things that he gave them, they just wouldn't keep no order at all. And
Mm-hmm.
this is not something that happened just now. This has been going on for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's just sticking to that nation of people that he put under his name. And under his name means he claimed them as his people. You
Mm-hmm.
see, why? Because he knew that he was also going to bring down a deliverer, and the deliverer had to come down a bloodline. So the deliverer came down the same bloodline of this same nation.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so I don't think it's more. I think he's talking about a nation of people that he had been dealing with for so long, and this was their final captivity. And as we read, we hear about all these captivities with the same people. And in my mind, I said, why would you put up with them this long?
Yeah.
Why would you constantly deal with them? And they keep on being the same because when he chose them, he's known as, from what we read, we can't prove nothing by
Mm-hmm.
facts, but by the spirit that's in us that leads us to the understanding. I don't think the I call the Bible an instruction and direction guide. And it's so much been smeared and swished and turned and wiped and taken out,
Mm-hmm.
added, and just to try to mislead a people. And I think important for us to understand it, I think we need a spiritual intervention, something spiritual that comes in us and tell us that, okay, this is what it says. But as you're reading it, and if you just be humbled, quiet, you begin to see it with a different ear. Because it's a lot of times when you're reading it, it says he that has an ear. This is not a natural ear. Like you and I have these two ears. He's not talking about a natural ear. And when he said he that has an eye to see, can see. He's talking about a spiritual eye. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm thinking is, because of this book, it's not something that we can prove to be facts at all, but based on the individuals who can understand it through, and this feeling of the spirit, it has nothing to do with feelings or emotions. You got to kick all that out the curve. You have to be able to just be humble enough to see what is being said, because a lot of things the Roman Catholic has placed in there, Rudolph stuff. They put a lot of things in there. But the way, how would you know what's what? So I think it's a spiritual a thing that where he teaches and he leads and he guides. In Deuteronomy 28, I think that's the nation of people that he's speaking of. And I think it is. I don't think it's black people. I think it is how would I say it, Israelites, because I think the blacks are Africans or Ham in a sense, because I know we got some Israelites also over in other nations, but over in Africa as well. But I think he's talking to a nation of people.
Okay. Yeah, and that's I think that everything you said. It's like you said. He's, I mean, obviously talking about somebody. And I think that's not even arguable or debated at all. I
But
think
baby,
what
let
we,
me say this. Baby, let me say this here. The good thing about it is I would claim I am who I know that I am. I would claim Deuteronomy 28. I want to claim Deuteronomy 28
mm,
because once you step in the spiritual realm and understanding Deuteronomy 28, then you'll see the outcome. The outcome is beautiful. it seems like it's harsh and we're going through it, but the outcome, the end game. So when I'm teaching it, I teach it as an end game.
I'm sorry. Let me just interject for a second. So you say you want to claim the Deuteronomy 28.
I embrace it.
Okay.
Because
This
there's an end game for those people.
No. I'm sorry, because I just want to kind of finish my question there. So you claim the responsibility of obeying 613 laws, statutes, and commandments.
Oh no, I don't claim that.
So how can you claim Deuteronomy 28 if you're not claiming every law, statute, or commandment? Now I'm more confused.
Okay, because that's not what he's saying. That's what you're hearing out of the mouth of men.
That's what's in the Bible. That's what's literally in the verse. It says.
See, the Bible is words.
Okay.
But I believe God is the Word. We are reading words.
So what's the point of the Bible we're not supposed to really read it?
Because it's a study guide. Because he says study to show yourself approved. That means I'm to study to show myself approved, that I can sit down, be humble enough, and study. But I think the Spirit of God is the true teacher of that which we study. Because he says rightly dividing the word of truth. So it leads you to understand something got to be divided. So when you question Deuteronomy, you have 100%. You have 100% to question, because he said rightly dividing. That means you have to be able to divide what is truth, and we can't do it as human beings. So it's a spiritual thing that comes to divide the word. The word, the Bible is a study guide. That's all. It's not the word. The Bible are words. God is the word. So I think his Spirit is what.
So it's a study guide, and so it's
yes, sir. That's all.
So the Bible is not more than a study guide.
You can't keep none of them commandments. You can't keep all that.
Oh, okay. So even when it says, that if you do all the laws, all these commandments, then I'm gonna bless you. But if you don't do all these commandments, then I'm gonna bring curses. So what you're saying is, when I read that, I'm not really supposed to read it as words, but I'm supposed to perceive it through my spirit, man. And see
there
that.
You go.
Okay. All right.
And your spirit is not expecting you to hold up all of that. See, the spirit man knows that the only way that you can uphold anything is through the Spirit of God that lives in you. He's not holding us like that. That's me, even with the 10 Commandments. He knows that I cannot keep the 10 Commandments, sir. He knows I can't keep no 10 Commandments. But once I accept him and understand his teaching, which is the word, he said, I will come and I will teach you all things. And then when he said that, he said, but put your trust in no man. He said, when it come down to the word, W-O-R-D, trust no man. But you can trust him with the words. But don't trust him with the word. I come to give you that. So that's all he wants. He's so just in the way but see, what we want to do, we want to take this book and we want to beat everybody across the head like an iron claw. And none of us, you, me, none of us can keep not one of them commandments. We can't uphold. We can keep probably one, but we cannot uphold those commandments. We're flesh. We cannot do it. But that's why we turn to him to help us to learn, to respect the commandments and want to and desire. But he has to be in us. And when he's in us, he walks. Now, let me ask you a question. If he's greater in us, it is said that he is greater in us than he that is in the world. So if he comes to live in us, isn't he the creator of commandments?
Yeah.
So if he's the creator of commandments, what do my flesh need to keep? If he's greater, it's because he never meant for us to take the commandments and uphold them in our flesh.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you learn something new every day. I'm going to go ahead and hang.
It was always in our spirit.
Okay. Well,
he wanted us. Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate the call because I want to get this. I want to get this other person for they tune in tonight. But I appreciate you calling. You. All right, take care now. Bye. Okay. So the next person that want to call in, go ahead and call me, okay? Because I saw you getting ready to call in, And I you were kind enough to hang up because you were calling in. But go ahead and try to call us now, and yeah, come on in the room, and again, we're talking about Deuteronomy 28, and how does Deuteronomy 28? How is it specifically applied to black people and black people only? And what is the evidence that you have to prove that? Okay, we're not talking about any other passage. We're talking about Deuteronomy 28. That's it. No other scriptures, no other books, no other study guides. We're talking about Deuteronomy 28. So yeah, that person, whoever it was that was trying to call, I'm waiting. Yeah. And remember, like I said again, this is all for the public record. And this, like I said again, the importance of, because y'all hear me, but I want you to hear from the people who are in the comments, the people we deal with sometime, an email. I want you to hear. I want you to hear, and I want you to see. All right. Appreciate the caller. Thank you so much. Like I said, one more caller. One more. All right. Let me put on. Look, I'm going to do the same thing I did again. At the conclusion of the song, that's going to be it for me. Let's see. Is this the one I want to put on? All right. Yeah, this a long one right now, ain't it? It's a long broadcast. But I'm enjoying the calls. Yep. I got some extra energy tonight. I don't know where this energy coming from. Because I would have been gone from y'all. Oh, that's too bright. Let's see. So like I said, bottom line, listen, at the end of the day, what you choose to believe is what you choose to believe. And, I shared this a while back. Someone had mentioned it's a series. Well, the Matrix, many of y'all know, familiar with the Matrix, the movie. Well, there's like a comic book series. I'm not a comic book guy, but there's this one with the Matrix, and they mentioned there's another character within the Matrix that wasn't highlighted in the movie, and they talked about how this guy tried to get his parents out of the Matrix, tried to manually pull them out, and he ended up killing them because they could not. And whoever it was they was talking to, he said, the older you get, the harder it is to pull people up out of the Matrix because you've been in it for so long. And, for some people, it's difficult. You know what I mean? And I understand that. Now, for one, here's the other thing, too, that I'll say. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you, well, you don't believe how I believe, you're going straight to hell. No, sir. I'm not saying that at all. No. Because if we're quite honest here, do we really, 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 really know exactly what is once we cross over to the other side? I don't think it's going to be evil. I don't believe that. But do we really, really know? I know that's going to mess around with some of y'all because the Bible contains everything. You're going to trust somebody who's in the land of the living, describing to you with pinpoint accuracy what heaven is like, everything about heaven. And then they're going, with pinpoint accuracy, they're going to describe everything what's going on in hell and all of that. But they in the land of the living. These are things that it's worth you questioning. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you're a person that is going to make sure you explore everything that has been told to you. We have ancestors who all they knew was church. All they knew was reading the Bible. All they knew was praying. And because you don't know this new information, they in hell. Nobody's saying that. No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. There's some of y'all who, and let me just say this too, there's some of y'all who have been weeping because you had ancestors. Let me say, because this one I think is going to hit home for some of y'all here. Let me just say this here. Let me say this. Sorry. And then I'm done. All right. Then I'm done. There are some of you guys who are listening tonight. You have been weeping. You have been tormenting yourself because you believe that because your relative or your auntie, whoever it is, or uncle, because they did not pray the sinner's prayer, they are burning in hell right now. That's what you meant, and you have been wrestling and torturing yourself with that because they chose not to pray the sinner's prayer. Who told you that in of itself would lead to this? You understand? Well, that's your ticket in heaven. So they can kill half the world, but yet, Hitler, dear Jesus, come into my heart, make me a new creature, and then that's it. Oh, okay, you in heaven. That's it. That's all it takes. All of these little things here, I know for many of you, it's hard because you listen, you surround yourself with people who don't question. And when you do encounter it, you automatically assume that, oh, they must hate God and they hate everything. No, that's all. You just question it, and that's it. And I'm not hating anybody else who wants to stay in their zone. But we are going to ask these questions, and we're going to be respectful, but we're going to stand on truth. And truth is not, like someone said, well, what is truth? Like someone said earlier tonight, we literally just went through the whole chapter. And what we know ain't true is that black folks ain't running around eating each other like this thing was saying was going to happen. It's not confusing. Religion makes things confusing, but it's not confusing at all. But you have to choose. You have to be willing enough to pull yourself out of that. Was there someone call? You know what? Hold on. There's someone calling, but I don't see the. Whoever's calling, call me back, hang up, call right back immediately, okay? Because it's weird because I hear it, but I don't see it. Yeah, my phone is ringing, but there's no, where is that coming from? It's not coming. Huh. I don't even know where that's coming from. But it's not a phone call, that's for sure. Y'all, I'm literally showing. Hold on, let me just show you so you can see what I'm talking about. You see, if there was a phone call, it would show it right here. It's not showing up, so I don't know where that's coming. That may be something else. I don't know. I'll find out. Hold on, let me see where that name may come from, man. It ain't telling me. Anyway, I muted it. I don't know what that is. Anyway, we done, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and finally get me something to eat. Thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. I know this was a very long one, and let me turn it. See, I don't even know what that was. Anyway, I turned that on. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. I know this is a long one. Really appreciate y'all who hung in there with us tonight and going through all of this. And, and for those who called, we appreciate your calls as well. And we just simply ask again, if you want to contribute in the community, in the, in the comment section, you are more than welcome to do so. But you don't be going off into some other stuff, okay? Don't be going, you stay right 100% on point. The question for you one more time is, can you prove historically and factually that Deuteronomy 28 is 100% talking about black people and nobody else? That's the question. That's it, all right? So with that being said, thank you so much, you guys. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll be talking again soon, all right? Take care.